very much indeed for your calls. Do you believe in them? America has always been ET's home from home when it comes to sightings. Take a look at this. This is very interesting. This is only 3 months old. It's a formation of lights which appeared over the skies of Arizona in March. It flew silently in a V formation that you can see there, 30 miles an hour for over 60 miles. Hundreds of people reported seeing those lights, including pilots, air traffic controllers, doctors, lawyers, professional people. What does it all mean? Well, here observing that with me is UFO. He also presents TV programs on this very theme in America, George. What do you make of those pictures? Really quite spectacular.
It's very dramatic because not only did thousands of people see it, several dozen people videotaped it. It's not exactly a mirage. They estimated through computer analysis that that object was 6,000 feet long. Now, I know what goes on in America. Have a plane that's more than a mile long. Perhaps you do.
No, absolutely not. So it hasn't been proved, but it hasn't been disproved yet.
No, it's going to be a mystery, like most UFO stories end up being. 95% of UFOs are generally considered misidentifications of terrestrial objects. I don't know anything that fits that description, however.
But for something to stay visible for that amount of time, surely there's time for somebody to try and make contact in some way or other.
Well, my understanding is the reports that Luke Air Force Base did scramble some jets, but they didn't quite exactly know what to do with this object. I mean, it's more than a mile long. There were actually 3 other objects that were seen during the same time period. Thousands of people were calling around to report this to authorities, but the official word from our Air Force is UFOs don't exist, we don't study them, so therefore we're not interested.
Well, you see, that's it. Now, me, like lots and lots of other people, been very gripped by this series on television, The X-Files, which has gripped the public imagination, it has to be said. And synonymous with The X-Files is the term cover-up.
Well, I think there is one, not only in the United States, but to an extent here in Britain, and certainly in Russia, where I've had an opportunity to visit twice in the past few years. This is video that was kept, another giant triangular shape. This was shot in 1968. This was kept in the KGB files, classified for more than 25 years. The Russians, like the American government, have conducted secret UFO studies dating back to the 1940s. And while they tell the public one thing, that they're not interested, that UFOs are nothing to worry about, you can tell from the government's own documents, both there and the United States, that they take it much more seriously in private.
Now, also, we hear about this Area 51. Tell me about Area 51 in the States.
Area 51 is sort of how I got started in the UFO field. It's a secret base. These are photos of objects that have been shot over Area 51. The story has floated around for more than 20 years that we have alien craft out there. This is the most top secret base in the world, where all sorts of top secret black projects, the U-2, the SR-71, the stealth fighter and stealth bomber have been developed, and more than 24 people I've interviewed say we also have flying saucers out there.
And the theory goes, does it not, that the Roswell incident, the famous Roswell incident, where aliens were supposed to have crash-landed in an aircraft, their technology was taken somewhere like Area 51 and perhaps developed by the American military.
They call it back engineering, meaning taking this equipment apart to figure out how it works, which strongly suggests, if that's what's going on, that we didn't build it, that it came from somewhere else. But that's exactly what the witnesses say that they've been doing out there for a number of years.
Roswell's in Arizona, isn't it?
Roswell's in New Mexico.
New Mexico. Do you know, I just came across this in a book the other day. Yeah. A very famous person born in Roswell, movie star.
No idea.
Do you know?
I've heard it before, but
Demi Moore.
Yes. Oh, really?
Demi Moore, yeah. I was just flicking through. Yeah, Demi Moore.
Arizona, strange place, isn't it? Oh, no, it's New Mexico, you said, did you?
New Mexico, they're all strange.
Strange places,
not as strange as where I'm from, Las Vegas, however.
Oh, that's even stranger.
We're gonna go south of the border, down Mexico way now, because apparently, when there are eclipses of the sun, there are particular reported sightings of UFO activity.
These objects were shot about 5 years ago during an eclipse of the sun. Thousands of people are outdoors looking up, and this is what they see. Now, this is not a weather balloon. This is not a seagull. This is not swamp gas. That is a definite craft, a metallic kind of a craft. It's some of the best UFO footage ever shot. Since that first sighting there during that eclipse, it's continued almost unabated. Thousands and thousands of people, hundreds of separate videos have spotted these same objects. not only during the eclipse, but later during a gigantic Independence Day celebration in Mexico, again, where everyone was outdoors.
Well, funny, yeah, we've got footage of the Independence Day as well. I mean, Independence Day to most of us means a big movie, but here, this is Mexico's Independence Day. And these are the traditional parades and things that happen.
And you also have considerable aerial activity, and you'll see an object that appears to dart between these airplanes.
We see it there, that silver shining object. They're center of screen right now. Yeah.
And what is it? I mean, I'm told that this video in another clip, I don't think we have it here, that a couple of these planes veer off and attempt to chase this object, whatever it is.
Yeah. Now, is that what you're talking about, or is this this is at Mexico Airport? I think this is, because there've also been problems reported of UFOs interfering with passenger jets at the airport. I mean, there you can see. Look at that. Look. Same sort of thing again. Whatever.
And you know, our governments tell us this is nothing to be worried about. We can't verify it. Well, clearly that has security implications. At least the security of those passengers was involved.
Right. Now, all of this leads to the all-important question. David Bass, a chap called David. David, thanks for your call. From Kingston, has phoned in this morning in London, and he's basically saying the question that we want to ask when people discuss UFOs is, where do UFOs come from? Is there life on other planets? Because we always seem more interested in the UFOs themselves and not the planets that they come from.
Well, I think the assumption has been for the past 40 years or so that they are extraterrestrial. However, I think that was probably a fairly mundane explanation, that if, in fact, these objects can manipulate space and time, as physicists have told us based on witness reports, they could be from anywhere. They could be from everywhere. They could be from a parallel universe, an alternate dimension. They could be time travelers. They could be us from the future. It's as one scientist, Dr. Jacques Vallée, has said. He said he'd be disappointed if they're only extraterrestrials, although that's a fairly exotic explanation in itself.
And they're not hostile. They're friendly, generally.
Well, clearly their technology has demonstrated a mastery over anything that we have, and if they wanted to demonstrate hostility, they certainly could have, but they haven't done that.
And the reason we're talking about all this today, George, and the reason that you're over in this country, there's a conference going on.
A conference this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, at Imperial College. It's organized by UFO Magazine. Graham Birdsall has an excellent publication there. I also came over because I heard Fiona was having a dress sale. I thought it was a British celebrity, and I thought it was you.
None of them would fit you, George, believe me.
I can't give them away.
It's an excellent gathering this weekend, so certainly the public is invited.
Okay. Well, you enjoy yourself.
Thanks very much.
Great meeting you. Thank you very much.
Showing you pictures that have never been seen before on British television. Just take a look at this. What do you make of this, I wonder? Looks like a kite to me. It could be anything, couldn't it, really? But apparently these are UFOs filmed by the KGB in Moscow. Now, the Russian Secret Service monitored UFOs for years, but the extent of their investigations has only just come to light. Now, these pictures have come to light thanks to our next guest, who's sitting with us on the sofa. We'll introduce him in a minute once you've seen the very end of those pictures, because this is the first time they've been seen. There we go. Right, George Knapp, who's an American TV presenter. He works for CBS, and more importantly, in his spare time, is a UFO expert, aren't you, George? Morning to you.
Good morning. You're both quite fragrant this morning, by the way.
Oh, we thank you very much. We try to be. I'm glad it's wafting. Yes, we are. Glad it's wafting in your direction. Now, what's so important or special about the pictures we've just seen?
Well, they were kept in vaults of the KGB for more than 25 years. Many of them were classified and had never been released. The significance of them really is that the Russian government had great interest behind the scenes in UFOs. At the same time, it had been telling its own public that there's nothing to it. They were conducting secret studies since the days of Stalin. That video was shot over Latvia in 1968. It's similar in shape, at least, to some UFOs that have been seen over Arizona just in the past couple of months or so.
Yeah.
This was seen in the Urals in 1976. This was seen north of Moscow, a series of 8 photographs. You'll notice the object sort of looks like a disc in the air, and then later photos, as it gets closer to the ground, it's sort of a blob, changing shapes, which is what a lot of people say UFOs are capable of doing.
Yeah, they're quite amazing, aren't they? But there are cynics amongst us.
Well, there should be, and because 95% of what I've seen in the area of ufology is complete nonsense. People making up stories about space aliens are here to steal our frogs or things of that sort. But that other 5% is where the key is, because it's not easily explained away.
Why were the Russians in particular monitoring UFOs then?
What we were able to find is that the Russians were interested for very practical reasons. They know UFOs could do things that our planes cannot do. You can see them on radar but not visually, see them visually but not on radar. They can split apart, they can meld together, zoom away at incredible speeds. They felt if they could master the secrets of UFOs, they could gain an edge on the West in technology, stealth technology.
Now, if the KGB and if you say the American Defense Department and if all these people are taking the existence of UFOs seriously, where is the concrete evidence that they actually exist?
Well, I think
apart from these pictures we're seeing?
I think the evidence is in the files, the classified documents. That's most impressive to me. These are not stories of some people who think they've been to Venus or something. This is the governments of the world saying they're real and they have definite national security implications. One of the things we saw in Russia was a series of UFOs over an ICBM base dancing around, performing incredible maneuvers, and just before they left, after a period of 4 hours, the launch control panel at this base lit up. Something or someone entered the correct launch codes, the missiles were ready to go, then boom, the UFOs left, things went back to normal. The same thing has happened in the United States.
Yeah, so well, we could talk about it all morning, couldn't we? And
well,
of course, we'll be back to you in a minute, George,
right.
But it's not just the Russians who've been monitoring UFOs. Now, this film that you're going to see just now was taken from the Space Shuttle Discovery in December last year. As you can see, it shows a large bright object moving over the surface of the Earth, surrounded by what appear to be tiny explosions. There they are, they just popped up there, another one there. Right, I'm joined now in our lead studio by Graham Birdsall, who's obviously very interested in those pictures because he's the editor of UFO magazine. Now, Graham, what did NASA say about all this?
Well, NASA insists that all of these objects in the film, and there are over 60 anomalous objects flying in the Earth's atmosphere, are nothing more than ice crystals. Well, ice crystals simply do not perform maneuvers like this. The flashes, incidentally, are just ordinary lightning storms below on the Earth's surface.
See, a lot of us would agree with NASA, wouldn't they? When we would just say, well, yeah, they look like that to me. They look like just crystals or...
But there was similar footage that we'll be showing at Imperial College over this weekend in a 50th anniversary celebration of UFOs, and George is obviously one of the speakers that we've invited along because of his serious journalistic background. We're looking at credible statements about incredible things, and one of the most incredible statements, I believe, concerning footage like that and footage shot in 1991 by another space shuttle, Discovery, came from Dr. Jack Kasher, who's a professor of astronomy and physics at Nebraska University. He's conducted 5 scientific theories and studies to basically disprove NASA's statement that these were nothing more than ice crystals. He is saying that these were intelligently directed craft maneuvering and accelerating above the Earth's atmosphere.
Okay, George, you want to say anything?
Well, I agree with Dr. Kasher. I mean, I've seen his analysis, and NASA tried to explain this away again as ice crystals, and they simply don't react that way. You see a flash at the bottom of the space shuttle in that later video, and these things go in different directions, not as if all going in one direction.
But Graham, if everyone is accepting that these things are real, why is this whole UFO extraterrestrial thing so covert? Why are we still talking about it as though maybe they don't really exist?
Well, I think George was quite correct to say that about 95% of the reports that do come in, some to be fair, honestly made, are misidentifications. But there are a few people who do rubbish the subject, who do make it out as though it's all foolish nonsense. But what we have to concentrate on is that small residue of reports where credible people with professional backgrounds are commenting about these extraordinary things and take it one step further. That's why the setting for the 50th anniversary of UFOs is at Imperial College in London over this weekend, in the heartland of the scientific community, where people with that background can come along and have a look for themselves.
Okay, I'm sure you'll be there all weekend for one. Thanks for joining us this morning, Graham. And George, just one final question before you go. See, what I want to know is we can see all this footage, we've been going on for years seeing it. Where are these little people that are supposed to come out of there, these little green people?
Well, a lot of people say they see them.
Yeah,
not all
of
the
the corridors in here.
Yeah, I think they were in the grid.
Jenny Randall, strange name. Nice to see you again, Jenny. We've had loads of calls. The thing about them is that what you're saying is not that everybody who sees an unidentified flying object has necessarily seen a spaceship or someone. By far the majority of them, what, 95%, are very quickly identified as being something quite normal.
Yes.
What you're interested in is the 5% which aren't.
Exactly, and there are lots of different things too. I mean, even of those, we're not saying that they're all, or even any of them, are spaceships. They're just phenomena that we have to try and figure out what they are.
Which are very hard to explain. All right. Well, let's get on to Keith. He's our first caller. He's calling from Sussex. Good morning, Keith.
Good morning.
Good morning. Now, this is about something which happened to you when you were a child, yes?
That's correct, yes.
How old were you, Keith?
I was 9 years old.
Right, go on then. Tell us what happened.
I was raised on a farm and in Lancashire, and I was used to walk home from school. The farm was a long way from any other houses, and I'm on my way home from school, and I don't remember anything happening, but my mother says that I was a good hour late. And so what happened was she came down to find out where I was, and I was still walking home, and she found me looking up and stopped on the drive and got out of the car and looked up with me, and there were 3 UFOs flying above me.
What do you mean UFOs? What do they look like?
There were 3 circular objects flying in triangular formation.
Yeah. So you had no memories at that point, but I think you said that you had some very vivid dreams in the years after. What kind of dreams?
Well, later on, a couple of years later, I started getting interested in mechanics through my father, and getting involved in the internal parts of engines. I started to have strange dreams of graphic engine rooms and
strange-looking engine rooms. I mean, things that are not sort of normally found in engine rooms.
Oh, that's correct. Yes, definitely not of this world type of mechanics. Extremely graphics. So what I started to do was keep a diary by my bed, and when I'd wake up in the middle of the night, I would draw and write down what I'd seen.
So what he's saying is he's surmising that he was abducted by aliens, basically shown around a spaceship and returned back home in a time warp.
Yes.
Very common sort of belief that some people have that's happened to them. What do you think?
It is. Keith, did you see any figures at all in these dreams?
No, I have no recall of any beings.
So what is it that convinces you that it has to be an alien contact that you've gone through?
Well, because I now have a theoretical, complete graphic drawing of an intermittent internal thrust generator.
Information that you couldn't have got normally. This is an interesting situation that we do find again and again, that people appear to believe that they've had information like this planted into their minds. And I've investigated cases like this in Eastern Europe, Australia, America, and they're always the same. There's an incredible consistency about them. I wish I could say that there was a simple psychological explanation for these things, but unfortunately every psychologist I've worked with who's been involved has failed to find one. We're really dealing with something which there doesn't seem to be an immediately obvious answer
What
to.
are the common factors in all these stories then?
When they're told information, they usually believe that there's a long-term surveillance, some sort of communication with some entities. They don't automatically assume they come from outer space. That's a kind of imposition that we place on from outside. We think in UFOs in terms of little green men and spaceships, but it's not necessarily true. And that gradually everybody will realize the truth about this, because so many people have gone through these experiences. It's amazing. Last year a big opinion poll survey was carried out. We predicted in advance that we'd find that maybe 1 out of every 10,000 people would think they'd had an abduction experience. It turned out from this survey of 6,000 people that approximately 1.25 million people in Britain think they have. That's astonishing.
Presumably the kind of, I mean, if what happened to Keith really did happen, presumably the kind of, if you like, the science fiction explanation for it would be that he now has access to information of a kind of engineering detail which is from another planet, and
Yes.
that eventually he will actually pass that information on to the rest of us?
Unfortunately, the hard information that we can actually use is very rare. There have been a few claims for cures for cancer and things like that which have been implanted into people, but they're so complicated we can't really understand them. But it doesn't really matter what this experience is, whether it is some kind of bizarre global psychosis or whether it really is an alien contact. The undeniable fact is that something is going on which needs to be taken seriously enough to figure out what it is.
Okay, Keith, well, thank you very much indeed, indeed for calling with that. Strange but true, very interesting. Nick's on the line now, calling from Devon. Now, Nick, you're a policeman.
That's correct, yes.
And you saw something as recently as March.
That's correct, yes.
Right, do tell us about it.
Yes, it was the early hours of the 31st of March this year. I was on night duty. I was with a colleague in a car in North Devon. We saw
two very bright lights, or balls of light, travelling towards us off the Bristol Channel, coming inland.
What, low down or high up?
Well, it's difficult to say the height. Well below the level of the stars, I would guess it's sort of several thousands of feet, about the height of a jet aircraft, perhaps. Yeah. Travelling parallel together, and as they came, we stopped the car, turned the engine off, and it was totally silent. It came right over the top of us. The two balls of light seemed to be emitting some sort of trail behind them, and there was a sort of smaller trail between them. It was like a triangular formation set midway between the two balls of light. It was a sort of a thinner trail. Came right over the top of us. They didn't seem to be joined in any way, because I could see clearly the stars between them. And the thing about it all was that it was totally silent. There didn't seem to be any engine noise or anything associated with it.
And did they disappear over the other horizon?
It came directly off the channel, travelling south, and went right over the top of us, and then disappeared behind us. It was obliterated by a cloud as it travelled south.
Nick, you weren't the only person who saw it.
No, that's correct. We reported it, or my colleague reported it over the radio, and immediately there was a response from several other patrols along the coast, people that I know, that reported seeing the same thing, and as did other colleagues inland.
So it must have been quite high if people could see it simultaneously along a wide stretch of the coast.
Yes, it was obviously high, but it's difficult to say what height.
In fact, Nick, it was seen also from Southern Ireland, where a military transport plane was nearly hit by this thing as it flew across the sky. Also from South Wales and northern France, so it was extremely high.
So you know about this story?
We've been working on this case. Our investigator down in Devon and Cornwall, Doug Cooper, has actually talked to about 20 police officers like Nick who've seen this thing at the same time, 1:13 a.m. on the 31st of March. And we've been working quite closely with the Ministry of Defence on this, who've also received lots of calls through their bases and Coast Guard stations too.
So what's your assessment? What could it have been?
Well, we know now that on that night, at that time, a Soviet booster satellite, Cosmos 2238, re-entered the atmosphere over the Atlantic and burnt up spectacularly as it came in. And that seems to have been responsible for a lot of what was seen that night. But as often happens when you get spectacular sightings like this, it trolls in other cases, which probably wouldn't have been reported otherwise, because people get the encouragement to come forward because they think others have seen the same thing. And there are still some puzzles, and the MOD and ourselves have mutually agreed that there are some fascinating cases that night which still have to be resolved.
Well, what are the puzzles?
They do often involve the two lights, but also a shape variously described as like a catamaran, or two Concords side by side is another description from some CID police officers who run a stakeout operation in Devon and saw this thing fly right over them.
And is that not compatible with the entry at this, whatever it was?
No,
Soviet?
the time differences were the problem, that we know exactly when the re-entry occurred, and most of the sightings fit in exactly with that, but there are these little anomalies in time, maybe half an hour or an hour later.
So just to scratch Nick's itch, did he, from what you hear, do you think he saw the re-entry of the
It
old
sounds
space
very
bucket?
probable, because most of the sightings were.
And it would explain the lack of noise, wouldn't it, as
Nevertheless,
well?
it was a spectacular thing to see. They're rare, and they're UFOs in every sense of that word, because the UFO stands for unidentified flying object.
Yeah, but it's nicer to think there was an alien inside.
Oh, that's the danger, isn't it?
I know,
that's the danger.
You start convincing yourself.
Nice one,
it's
Nick.
more. Yes, well, thank you very much for that call, Nick. That was very interesting, and as I say, Jenny knows all about it. Paul is on the line now from Leeds. Good morning, Paul.
Morning.
Right, a sceptic is among us, yes?
Oh, yes, very much so.
Go on. You've got a PhD in astrophysics.
I'm studying for one at the moment.
You're studying for one, right, and so you should know what you're talking about. Go on, give us your opinion.
Well, it's just I can't see why they've never been spotted by sort of, we've got, you know, the civil aviation people, or the military aircraft people. They've never, you know, spotted anything.
You're talking here not about strange, because obviously there are strange things in the sky which eventually have an explanation like the last one. You're talking about people who are convinced that some of these things come from another planet.
Yeah.
Right, and you don't believe that at all?
It just sounds silly, doesn't it, really?
What, do you mean they'd come all these millions of miles just to sort of...
Well, I mean, as well, would they be, you know, where could they live? I mean, like, we can see, like, millions of miles away. I mean, the speeds they'd have to travel is just impossible. That they could go, you know, from there.
But Paul, it may not be impossible to them, you see. I
Well,
mean,
it would, yeah, it's sort of like, you know,
they are not like us.
There's two answers to the questions that Paul have posed there, really. The first one about them being tracked on radar. It isn't true, in fact, that they never have been. A lot of people in this country don't realise that, but in 1991, there were 5 separate incidents separated by about 12 weeks where British civilian airliners with passengers on board, up to 200 in one case, actually had close encounters with objects, at least 2 of which were tracked on radar by Heathrow or the London Air Traffic Control Centre.
But could they not be advanced aircraft? I mean, for example, you take the American stealth bomber, which we're now all very familiar with as a shape, but 10 years ago, if I'd seen a stealth bomber flying alongside me on a Boeing 707, I would have thought that's got to come from outer space. That isn't a thing I've seen before.
There have been some sightings where advanced aircraft have been involved, but if the Americans are flying stealth bombers in our passenger airlines at about 10,000 feet in and around the southern counties of England, then we really ought to know about it, because sooner or later there's going to be a bit of a disaster. They deny it. I think the Ministry of Defence are happy that they deny it. I've got written confirmation from both the MOD and the Civil Aviation Authority about these incidents, that they are, quote, in their definition, unidentified flying objects. They checked every source possible and they couldn't find an answer for them. They don't appear to be that in these cases. The second part of the question, though, was why would they come here? That presumes, first of all, of course, that they're aliens and that they are coming here, which is an assumption that many of us who research UFOs don't make. But even if that assumption is valid, it's quite possible that they are covertly observing us and don't want to actually openly land. If we were to go into the jungle and study lions and tigers, the last thing we'd do is go up and introduce ourselves, shake their hands, and probably get eaten as a result.
But is there, I mean, I know you have a cool and scientific approach to this, and you hope an objective one, but is there a tiny bit of you which actually really hopes that a lot of these things are aliens checking us out?
I guess it's the thing which drives everybody who's interested in the UFO subject along, to try to find that little spark of evidence which proves that there's something fantastic out there, that we really aren't alone in the universe. It's a terrible thing to think that there is nobody out there who's better than us, who's actually solved the problems that we've got.
But on the other hand, I don't like the thought of being used as some kind of experimental kind of ground for them to come and look at us and check us out, do you?
The abduction experiences are horrible. They really are, and it is frightening to think that they may well be true. The sad thing is, though, that they are so consistent that it's hard to believe there's not some substance to them.
Well, you've made us all very paranoid, Jenny.
Thank you very much, Paul.
Thanks.
I mean, I've got sympathy with Paul, but I mean, I'm not paranoid. I think it's quite nice. I'd quite like to meet an alien. Right, talking of things not of this world, thanks very much indeed, Jenny. Musician Jean-Michel Jarre is famous for huge space-age concerts like this one.
Okay, before I pick up on that, just to tell, if you want to know more about Jenny's ideas, it's in her new book, UFOs and How.
We are the bubbles in the lava lamp.
It's the British answer to the X-Files, and the truth will be out there today. The Ministry of Defence and the National Archive are releasing thousands of pages of material relating to UFO sightings. Here's Nick Dixon.
Close encounters, lights and flying saucers, just some of the thousands of unidentified flying objects seen over the skies of Britain. And now more of these eerie sightings have been revealed. Bizarre reports include the Rendlesham Forest incident, where it's believed an extraterrestrial spacecraft actually landed, and the Birmingham man who claimed to see a bright blue triangle in his garden, which left a strange substance on his trees. These are part of 6,000 pages of previously top-secret files now available to view. There's eyewitness accounts, drawings of flying saucers, and government correspondence. So the files are out there, but the truth, well, that's still a mystery.
Exciting stuff, isn't it? We're joined now by Nick Pope, who was in charge of Britain's X-Files at the MOD for several years. Nick, the vast majority of these, the reports that are being released, is not extraterrestrial origin, is that right?
That's correct. Most of these UFO sightings turn out to be misidentifications of perfectly ordinary things like aircraft lights and satellites.
What about sort of the sightings that could give us genuine concerns for air security, airspace security? Is there many of those?
Yes, there are some interesting cases here. There was a UFO tracked by a senior air traffic controller travelling he was looking at radar, and it was travelling at phenomenal speed. There was a near miss between a UFO and a Boeing 737 coming into land at Manchester. The MOD and the Civil Aviation Authority investigated and found no explanation.
And in terms of people that actually saw that, I imagine that the pilots and probably some of the passengers saw something then.
Yes, the pilot and the first officer both made an official report, and they said this thing flashed across the front of the aircraft so rapidly they thought there was going to be a collision.
And in terms of X-Files at the MOD, obviously exhaustive research would have been sort of put into what that could have been. What were the ideas, or what were the sort of the answers?
Well, about the only theory that people were speculating was some secret prototype aircraft, but you know, we know where we fly our own bits of kit, so that wasn't really an explanation.
Nick, in the report, talked about a gentleman who found a sticky residue on his trees, some sort of substance of some sort. What was that?
Well, there were a couple of cases where some strange residue was found. Firstly, as you say, on the trees. There was another case where a car was covered in strange debris. The RAF took this away, and the files don't actually tell what happened in terms of the analysis. So that maybe is a real X-file.
That's even more exciting if they haven't told us the answer.
Yeah.
Now look, MOD cuts mean that your old office, has been shut now. So what happens if you're a lone driver out there and you have a sort of an experience of a UFO? Who do you phone?
Well, it's a shame. Now people will have to go, really, to the media. Now the government is not taking these reports from the public anymore. And it's a great shame, because scientists are beginning to speculate about this more openly. The Royal Society even had a conference about this last month.
Goodness me. Well, Nick, obviously it's great to see you as ever and to talk about these things. It all gets very exciting. Thanks for coming in this morning.
Put them on Twitter.
There you go. Put your UFO sightings on Twitter. Everyone would love it.
Let's get today's weather. Here's
Just gone 20 to 9 this Monday morning. It seems we may be slightly nearer to knowing if there is intelligent life out there today, as the Ministry of Defence releases its latest dossier on flying saucers, alien abductions, close encounters, all that sort of good stuff. 14 of the Ministry's real-life X-Files will be opened up, revealing details of 800 sightings between 1981 and 1996. Reports include laser beams being shot to Earth and aliens with lemon-shaped heads. Excellent. Many of the reports were filed in 1996, the year the Hollywood blockbuster Independence Day came out. Was it really that long ago? Let's speak to Nick Pope, who worked for several years at the MOD X-Files unit. Good morning to you, Nick.
Good morning.
Have we got aliens out there?
We don't know, but we've got more than aircraft lights and weather balloons, I think. And in these files released today, there are some spectacular cases, near misses between UFOs and commercial aircraft. A case where my head of division briefed the assistant chief of the air staff and said 2 military bases have been overflown by something. We don't know what. That couldn't have been the SR-71 Blackbird, for instance, the aircraft. There was an incident, wasn't there, because the Americans were testing a new aircraft which they either hadn't told us about or they hadn't told everybody about. Well, there was a huge controversy about whether there was a secret prototype aircraft called Aurora, but even a prototype aircraft looks like an aircraft, and all these witnesses were in the RAF themselves, and they were saying this is like nothing we've ever seen before. Right. So what sort of explanation usually lies at the heart of UFO sightings? Most of them turn out just to be misidentifications of aircraft lights, weather balloons, meteors and satellites, but it's around 5% or so that turn out to be unexplained, and the answer to those ones we don't know. Well, what's that, for instance? Come on, Nick, you know all about all these things. What do you think? What's that? That's a flying saucer. It is. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of these pictures are quite grainy and indistinct. We had a great picture on our office wall in the MOD, which the Defence Intelligence staff, the technical specialists there, had analysed and said, well, this is a real solid craft, 25 metres in diameter. We don't know what it is. Well, so this is all terribly exciting, isn't it? Do you believe in UFOs? Do you believe that we're being contacted from people from other civilizations? I'm not sure about that. I can't rule it out. But, I mean, the Air Force and the government, hand on heart, doesn't have one of these things in a hangar somewhere. But I think if people look at these files, and there's 4,000 pages of documents, they'll find that there is something there to make even the most die-hard skeptics think, hang on, this is a bit interesting.
Has anybody ever claimed to have met an alien in your experience?
Yeah. Yes,
I mean, out of these files?
These files, they're not just UFOs, there are crop circles, and yes, there are some alien abductions. There's a wonderful case from 1995 where two youths contacted the police and said that they'd seen a UFO with an alien in it, and they'd heard this voice saying, "We want you, come with us."
All right, cool.
Okay.
And was this... I was just going to say, was this around about 12:30 at night after the pubs had closed?
Well,
I mean, is this, or was this sort of mid-afternoon on the high street?
It's really difficult to know what to make of something like that. I mean, my view was that some practical joke had got out of hand, and I suspect alcohol might have played a part in this. But it's you know, it's quite another thing to go to the police and say
that these aliens always speak English, isn't it? Don't you think?
Oh, yeah,
the planet they're on, they manage to learn English.
Probably got one of those universal translator things.
Yeah, that's what they've got.
Handy, eh?
Is there intelligent life out there? Is there intelligent life in here?
No.
Email us
that
if
with
you've
a lot of certainty,
been abducted, and tell us what it was all about. Go ahead. Nick, lovely to talk to you as normal. Thank you.
Happens to you most weekends, doesn't it?
Somebody tried
and
to take
voices,
me away.
We hear them
Mr.
constantly.
Caddy.
Anyway.
You've got to have a connect through this way. It looks superb. Oh, well, what's it like? I'll tell you what, you ain't going to leave your phone, do you?
Well, what would you do? I mean, it was a very exciting moment. Stephen Farrow was one of the men involved here. You didn't actually take the video, nor did you come out with the expletives.
No, that wasn't me, no.
Who was that? Who can we put the finger on there?
No, that's a good friend of mine, Bill, you know. Anyone who's watching who knows Bill, you know, will know, you know, he was excited.
Well, I think anybody who was watching what you claimed you saw there may well have come out with the same. Now, of course, the accusation's going to be put, was this fabricated? Was it a trick of the light? You were there. What did you see?
Basically, what you saw in the video, I saw it a long way off in the distance, and, you know, I just sort of made the joke, really, you know, look, there's like a UFO, you know, and turned around to carry on, sort of taking our fishing gear apart and whatever else. Bill picked the video camera up, started videoing, and then, you know, the rest is what you've seen.
Yeah.
You know, when he started to sort of make a noise and shout, you know, that's when sort of turned around and looked, but, you know, he'd sort of filmed it sort of going past over his head, and see the similar type thing sort of disappearing into the distance, you know.
Yeah, but how would you describe it? We'll look at it again here. The funny thing is that when it's at a distance, it looks very credible there. As you get closer to it, then it's something you sort of can't explain. It looks just as if it's almost projected there or whatever. Was it making a noise? Was it radiating heat? I mean, what was the sensation?
There was no noise. You know, I think if there was noise, you know, I might have looked a bit earlier. It's only that Bill was just, say, zoomed in on it. I suppose he gets a better picture of what it was. You know, the whole thing about it is that the tape, you know, I had the tape for sort of 3 months, you know, and nothing has happened with it. It's just you know, the way things have worked. Someone else has seen it, and they said that really you shouldn't keep that. You know, you should let other people see it, you know, and that's why I'm here today.
Okay, after 3 months. It was all last October. You were just out fishing.
That's right, yeah.
And you saw this in the sky. Okay, we're joined now from Manchester by Philip Mantle. Now, Philip is from the British UFO Society. Good morning, Philip.
Good morning.
Certainly exciting pictures. When we see things like this, it all whets our appetite. Presumably, we all want to believe in this. What is your expert opinion?
Well, first and foremost, there is no suggestion that we've uncovered that the gentleman in question have perpetrated a hoax here. There's no suggestion of that whatsoever. It's a very intriguing piece of film, but what we have to remember is this includes this piece of film that 95% of all sightings reported to us do at the end of the day have an explanation. So it wouldn't surprise me if, at the end of the day, there wasn't some kind of rational explanation here to explain this piece of film.
Okay, you're sounding quite negative then on this one. Give me your practical or cynical explanation. What do you think?
Well, it wouldn't surprise me, and again, I have no evidence to prove this, it wouldn't surprise me if we aren't looking at a conventional object, perhaps an aircraft with its lights on, and that the diamond-shaped image could be the result of some kind of malfunction within the lens.
Within the lens of the camera. Okay, let me ask you this, Philip. Were there any other sightings or reportings of that object that day? Was it monitored from any other direction?
We have no reports from that particular area for that day, none that would tie in with this piece of film.
Okay, Stephen was the man there on the ground. A trick of the light, a trick of the camera, an airplane?
No, we saw, when I say we saw the bright light, and the video, you know, when we got back to where we were staying that night and we put it on the video camera, you know, and we actually watched it, you know, you're sort of sitting there looking at it, you think, well, you know, what is it, you know, and there's always a chance that, you know, it might be something that, as you're saying, that you can actually explain. The videotape has been checked by a reporter from the Mail on Sunday, Nick Fielding, who's an investigative reporter. They spoke to the Coast Guard, they've spoken to the police, they've spoken to the RAF, who've got a base which is quite close, to see if there was flight plans lodged, or, you know, to try and explain it. You know, the reporter, you know, he basically said to us that, you know, his job is to knock it down. You know, he wanted to, you know, disprove it as much as he possibly could, you know, so that the story would be a genuine story.
Okay, but you knew people would be negative about this, presumably.
Again, that's why it's taken so. You know, what I mean is,
as it were.
You know, just...
Now, Philip, is there anything you'd like to ask Stephen as we look at this again? I mean, anything about the impressions that were gauged on the day?
Well, yes, I mean, I think it's only the gentleman who looks at the object through the viewfinder actually sees what you're looking at. I think it's fair to say that the other two gentlemen who were there just witnessed a bright light in the sky. And that says an awful lot about the piece of film. What I would say is it is a very intriguing piece of film, and perhaps any comments at this moment in time are too in advance. It does need further study.
We have only a brief extract there, a brief clip. How long did it actually stay in the sky? How long did you see it?
Not much longer than what you actually saw there. You know, it was far away in the distance. We've seen the film up until a point where, you know, Bill has said that, you know, he was sort of turning around this way by then, and then we saw it disappear down the Broad. You know, it was. I'll try not to think about it too much. You know, we saw it. Well, you know, I saw the beginning, I saw the end, and I've seen the middle because it's on the videotape. Again, it's the embarrassment more than anything. You know, everybody, you know, people have said it's a slice of cheese, it's a piece of bread. You know, how did you hide the wires? That's, you know.
Okay. Stephen, thanks very much for telling us your story. Thanks for letting us see your film. Absolutely fascinating. Philip, thanks very much indeed for your comments. And I know you would be very keen on people who have further photographs or video clips, indeed, to send them to you. Great things, these video cameras, and get more and more evidence or speculation all the time. Here's an address you can contact. It's the UFO Society, BM Bufora. That's what it's called. It means something, Bufora. That's the address there, London, WC1N 3XX. Philip Mantle and friends will be delighted to hear from you, initially through a letter, or if you've got a tape to send them or whatever. Or indeed, send us your tapes if you've got anything else on video. 28 minutes past 8.
Well, video footage has come to light which could indicate that we are not alone. A bright, shining object has been filmed hovering in the sky above Falkirk in Scotland. UFO experts say it's the best footage ever seen of a possible alien spaceship. This extraordinary event took place in an area now dubbed the Bonnie Bridge Triangle because of the high number of unusual sightings. And joining us now is Professor Ron Halliday, a UFO expert. You've seen all of this footage, Professor. How good do you rate it?
I'm not actually a professor, but I just say that right away.
Well, please accept the promotion.
But, you know, I'd be delighted to have that by all means. Well, yeah, I've seen the footage, and I would say it's the best bit of video footage that I've seen, because it's been taken during daylight, and you actually get a very good view of the particular object. So, I mean, it's certainly excellent video footage from the ufologist's point of view.
Do you merely watch the tape over and over again, or do you freeze frame it and analyse it?
Well, I mean, we certainly watch the video tape through, you know, on a large number of occasions, but obviously we also want to analyse it, because we find that through analysing it, you can actually get a better image of what's actually being filmed. So, yes, I mean, obviously we'd like to have a good close look at anything unusual like this.
All right, we'll come back to you in a moment, if we may, because we can now join our reporter, Martin Frizzell, who's at the scene. Martin, did you see anything unusual last night?
Well, last night or this morning. Last night I saw a few unusual things. This morning we've seen a few unusual things as well, because you should have come to us just a minute or two ago, Matt, but you couldn't because of technical problems, strange technical problems that just happened all of a sudden. We can't explain why, but our power has been flickering on and off here from our generator. Normally doesn't do that. Here I am standing above Falkirk in the Bonnybridge area, as you said, tops of chimneys, just how big this thing was. It just hovered there for, some 20 minutes or so. And the man who took the pictures is Barry McDonald. Barry, come and join us here. Now, this was a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yes, well, last week, last Wednesday.
And until then, you'd been fairly sceptical about things in the sky, mysterious objects, flying saucers.
Definitely, I've never ever believed anything like that before, until I actually seen that myself.
So what were you doing? Tell me, you and your girlfriend driving down the road?
We were driving down, me and my girlfriend Jane, we were driving down from Hull Glen down towards Falkirk, and we just looked up and seen this light in the sky, and I was sitting there for about 15 minutes, and I decided to go get the camera out. So once we started to tape it, it just seemed to change shape, change colours, then shapes, and all of a sudden it just vanished out of the air. So just don't know where it went to.
And could you estimate how big this thing was?
I couldn't say. It wasn't a big massive thing, and I couldn't hear nothing, no sound or nothing off it. I just don't know the size of it at all, to be honest.
Now, you're not the first person from around here who's seen something mysterious in the sky.
No, there's quite a few been seen. It's about 300 or something over 1992. But again, I've never ever believed in anything like that until I've seen that myself.
You see, Barry, the question everybody is asking this morning is, if intelligent life form is out there, very clever, why do they pick Falkirk?
I mean, I don't know. It's maybe something to do with Grangemouth or whatever, with the heat coming out of there. But there's not many questions that could be asked. I just not got a clue, to be honest with you.
Okay, but it's not a hoax. We're not going to find ourselves on something in a few years' time and you're going to admit it's a hoax. This is genuine.
No, definitely not a hoax, that's for sure. Everybody who's seen the video so far, they believe it's the best that's ever been seen, and I believe that myself. So it's definitely not a hoax, that's for sure.
Okay, Barry, well, thank you very much indeed for joining us this morning. We can't explain what it is, perhaps someone at home can, but it certainly adds to the debate of UFOs.
Martin?
We'll both say thank you very much to Martin. Mr. Halliday, what do you actually think this is?
Well, I mean, at the moment it is an unidentified object. You know, we've taken a look at it, we thought of various possibilities that it might be, but at the moment we've ruled them all out. So, as far as we're concerned, it's unidentified at the moment.
Flying saucers?
Well, I mean, it's a big leap from saying something's unidentified to saying it's a flying saucer, obviously. I mean, some people might like to speculate about that, you know, but I mean, I think, you know, we need to take a good look at it. But it's intriguing because at the moment there's no obvious explanation, no obvious natural explanation for this particular object.
Actually, can we take a look at some archive footage of other sightings? We've got, this is Norfolk in 1993. And we've also got Mexico City in 1990 and Canada in 1991 coming up as well. Has any explanation been given for what these are?
Well, I mean, certainly the Mexican one, which is pretty well known, is that still the Mexican one, isn't it? Well, certainly the Mexican one that is pretty well known has been controversial. Obviously, there's been some suggestion that these are just particular objects that have been, you know, videoed from an odd angle and appear as things that can't be explained. I mean, certainly I've found over the years that quite a bit of video footage that has come up does have a natural explanation once people have examined it and managed to locate other witnesses.
UFOs, what we're talking about this morning. The gentleman with me now is Bob Exler. Bob is a former NASA mission specialist. Bob, we're going to see some footage very shortly with sightings, what are allegedly UFOs. But from your point of view, what is the single most convincing piece of evidence that you've come across that convinces you that we have been visited?
Well, I started out extremely skeptical about this whole thing. I thought this was just rubbish from the tabloids, but I was surprised to find thousands of U.S. government documents from intelligence agencies that tended to indicate that there was a little bit more to this than met the eye. So I went to seek guidance from the various highest levels of the United States intelligence community, and I was quite alarmed at what I was able to learn.
Now, we are, in this report that we're now going to show, we're going to hear a conversation featuring you. Tell me the context of that conversation.
Well, I had contacted Admiral Bobby Ray Inman, who was the head of the National Security Agency in the United States, Deputy Director at CIA, Director of Naval Intelligence, and a variety of intelligence posts, a technologist, and clearly someone that if this was really accurate, that there really were UFOs and non-human intelligence around, this is a man who had to know. So I was able to contact him thanks to a contact through Admiral Lord Hill Norton here in the UK. And this conversation, he alarmingly not only indicated that these issues were covered under national secrecy laws, but that the United States government did in fact have possession of the hardware associated with this. In other words, this was an actual physical phenomenon. As
a craft, a spaceship.
Several of them, and they were in operational condition, which I assume suggested that they had been in contact, that they had been given these craft for some reason or another, because they certainly weren't crashed vehicles.
Okay. Well, is there anyone out there? Sue Wheatfield reports.
Houston, this is Discovery. We still have the alien spacecraft under observance.
Since 1947, when the
I heard what you said earlier, but obviously the big problem always is the pictures are never conclusive.
The pictures, yes, are not conclusive, but when you get involved in an investigation and you find the extraordinary physical evidence left behind, and you talk to the witnesses, medical doctors, officials of governments and so forth, in one of the cases that we had just seen some video from, there was a Canadian official who was actually taken on board the craft. When you subject these areas of testimony to lie detectors, polygraph exams, using the kind of technology that we have to determine whether someone's actually telling the truth or not, the results become absolutely nothing short of alarming.
Okay, if these governments, the Canadian government, the American government, if they are in possession of spacecraft, if they have made contact with aliens, why don't they tell us?
What I was able to learn is that the issue of secrecy dates back into the early 1950s, and in 1959, actually, NASA had a study conducted by the Brookings Institution in Washington, D.C., addressing the issue of whether this alarming issue of a confrontation with an extraterrestrial culture should be released to the public, this information. It was determined that there would be grave consequences for just an overt public pronouncement by government officials. So a determination...
What does that mean? We would all panic?
Well, not necessarily just panic, but the issues that it presented, not only theology, but issues involving economics, standards of monetary concerns. If you acknowledge type of technology that renders fossil fuel-related industries obsolete, yes, for example, you have grave consequences economically all the way around the world.
Of course you do. All our values are rendered
so
useless and worthless then, yes.
The determination was made that the only way to avoid this chaos would be through a slow indoctrination process over a matter of decades.
Okay. Well, Bob Exler, we'll talk more in depth later on in the programme. You'll be back here about 8:45 this morning, so look forward to that. But for the moment, thank you.
Right, it's 8:46. Well, if you're one of those people who stays awake at night, have you ever seen one of these? More.
Do
you believe that there's something out there? Well, we're about to show you exclusive pictures of mysterious UFO-type objects which have never been seen before on British TV. Sue Woodfield's report also shows how seriously the American government take the issue, with a recording between a former NASA scientist and a CIA chief.
Houston, this is Discovery. We still have the alien spacecraft under observance.
Since 1947, when the term unidentified flying object was first coined, the American government is believed to have had more than a passing interest in UFOs. There have even been reports they've seized alien aircraft for secret testing, but it's never been confirmed. Now, for the first time, comments made by a former military intelligence chief seem to imply that at least some of the rumors could be true.
Do you anticipate that any of the recovered vehicles would ever become available for technological research outside of the military circles?
10 years ago, the answer would have been no.
Yeah.
Whether as time has evolved, they're beginning to become more open on it, is a possibility.
A short time later, Bob Exler received this call.
Mr. Eckler, this is Tom King in Admiral Inman's office. Yes, you would be breaching confidence and/or violation of the secrecy laws in discussing his involvement in any matter.
And the phone was slammed down there. Bob Exler joins us. Good to see you, Bob. You really believe, have you had a close encounter, as they say, or have you seen UFOs?
Well, I wouldn't really call it a close encounter. I think it has more to do with the contacts I've had with the U.S. intelligence community and being a technologist and being called in to analyze various video films and photographic evidence. It's quite conclusive to me. I have, in fact, seen with my own eyes on quite a number of occasions, well over 20, at very close range, a number of these vehicles. It's quite extraordinary technology. Anybody interested in technology would be, it's like a kid in a candy store, really.
And there's no way that you could be mistaken and it could have been an airplane, helicopter, or something of that nature?
Well, Admiral Inman convinced me that these vehicles were not manufactured by human technology, so that's pretty conclusive for me.
Do you think, though, that the government know this is happening, know that it's going on, but why don't they want the rest of us to know? Why do they not want that?
Yes, you are correct. The government, many governments around the world do in fact know. In fact, NATO conducted a study in the 60s involving quite a number of these incidents. The decisions to maintain secrecy regarding this center more around not upsetting the economic apple cart, religion, theology issues that come into play, and quite a number of issues that essentially center around science and technology.
You're former NASA. What do your colleagues at NASA think of you? Do they think that you're a crackpot, or do they agree with you?
Oh, no, not at all. They know I'm not a crackpot, and they're quite fascinated and interested every time I go to the Goddard Space Flight Center facilities to do analysis that we conducted on their equipment there with permission. They're always quite interested to see what the results are, because we do, in fact, see some rather extraordinary technology.
I think most people now would agree that it would be supremely arrogant for us to think that we're the only life form in the entire universe and you know, tucked away in this wee corner of our galaxy. But then it's another leap of the imagination to think that there's something out there, there's UFOs out there, and we do tend to think in terms of little green men. We can't seem to see past that. Why do you think that they would come here in the first place?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? We do have to come to grips with the reality that perhaps human beings aren't the only intelligence in the universe, and that they have, in fact, been here to visit. In spite of projects like the NASA SETI project, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence in deep space, there are serious issues associated with this. And we have a mentality where we like to kind of poke fun at the issue through tabloids and so forth.
And like this kind of thing, this is what we perceive an alien to be like.
Well, these are actual photographs taken from a case up in Canada that have indeed been authenticated by a Canadian government official who was taken on board the craft and apparently had some form of telepathic communication with the occupants, the pilots of the vehicle, as you might say. They are different than us, but it's interesting to note that they are humanoid and that they have 2 arms and hands and 2 eyes and so forth. They're quite much like us, only in significant ways they're different.
And also, though, if they can get here, they're more intelligent than we are. Are they further advanced than we are, perhaps? I mean, would they always be friendly or would they be malevolent?
Well, Of course, if there's one that comes, there's obviously going to be more. And just like we have different species of humans on this planet, I'm quite certain there's different species of alien life forms. So we could run into malevolence. In fact, President Reagan, on several occasions, alerted concern about the potential hostilities from outer space and why it would be important for us to work together on this planet with superpowers and so on, uniting. Clearly, the problem that we're confronted with here is that although technologically these beings may be more intelligent than us, we appear to be more advanced in areas of civility. We have emotions and things like that, and we have concern for our fellow man, whereas that doesn't seem to be the case necessarily in some of these other cultures.
Bob, thanks very much indeed. It does seem strange that we can't get on with one another in this world, so you wonder whether we will get on with aliens, but thank you.
Right, thank you.
Remember getting out of the car to fiddle around with the bonnet. Couldn't find anything wrong with the engine.
Extraordinary story. Welcome back. Our next guest, Ros Reynolds, believes that she was abducted by aliens. It's what she believes. This is how her fateful night began when she and her boyfriend set off to visit friends in Norfolk, some 2 hours' drive away.
It's just starting to get dark. As we were driving along, a bank of horseshoe-shaped lights suddenly came from my side where I was sitting in the passenger seat, and it zipped over the top of us about 2 or 3 times. And then it eventually settled to match our speed. It was like a big white ball. You could see into it. It's very bright, but it didn't hurt your eyes to look at. And suddenly the car stopped dead. It was like in the middle of nowhere, and it was just sitting there. It hadn't landed. It was just like hovering, floating. There was no sound, no wind, no noise. It was eerie. And we both remember getting out of the car to fiddle around with the bonnet. Couldn't find anything wrong with the engine. We continued the journey. It suddenly just shot heavenwards. We finally got to friends. They'd been expecting us at 10 o'clock, and it was 2 o'clock in the morning. But it was what happened afterwards that I realised there was something else going on.
Extraordinary. Well, Ros Reynolds, who claims to have been abducted by aliens, and Jenny Randalls, who's a UFO expert, join us now. Ros, you lost, what, 3 hours?
2, 3 hours, yeah.
Of your life?
Yes.
And you really believe that you were captured by aliens and you were taken away by them?
It's more than believe. At the time, it was ever so strange. The next day, I mean, this was like a long time ago, and in this modern-day society, they don't seem to accept you going up saying, excuse me, I've just been abducted by an alien.
Indeed.
At the time, I didn't even realise that I'd been taken. I just had the missing time, and we sort of never thought about it.
Sure, because when you got to your friend's house, they said, where have you been?
That's right, and we sort of looked at each other and thought, well, I'm not going to mention what I've seen.
Did you both talk about it to one another, though?
It was a nervous reaction. We sort of looked at each other and we mentioned it, but that was a far
You didn't want to know?
Yeah, you know, it's the sort of thing that's, you just shut away. Something has happened, you just shut it away at the back of your mind.
But this all came out, what, through hypnosis?
Hypnosis later on. Well, at first it was because I was writing and I was drawn. I would get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and sit there and just doing dots on a piece of paper with my eyes shut. And the next thing you know, the first thing I ever did was this picture of this alien.
Right.
And then I started typing. Oh my God, I've never typed in my life. I did reams upon reams upon reams of typing.
And what were you typing? Was it just
information on all sorts, everything from life, the universe and everything, scientific formulas, how engines work.
And you didn't know anything about that before?
No.
This was all coming out of you?
I'm a numerate. I mean, I'm not the world's most educated person.
And also you believe that some kind of experimentation went on?
Yeah. Well, I had a small, well, I still carry it. I've got a small V-shaped scar, which I never had before. I've got other scars. There's one on my back, which is where an object's obviously been inserted. I've got one very, very low, down below in a rather personal place, which is a long scar, and they were not there before.
God, that's extraordinary. It's absolutely extraordinary. And you are firmly convinced that this happened to you?
Well, I seem to have established enough proof. I mean, I was not the type of person, I had my own apartment, I wasn't going to be sitting in the back of a car doing what things do with people do with their boyfriends down the dark lane. You know, because I've got my apartment for things like that. I've got this whole ream of proof
Ros,
to back it up.
How has it affected you now, though?
Well, I've gone through doubting myself. I've gone through thinking I'm gone mad. At the time, there was no such people as like Bufora who have a counselling service and things like that. There was just nobody at the time, so you just have to go through it. You just bottle it up, and you just sit there and look at it and see information. Think, I am going nuts, or where is this coming from?
Well, Jenny, is this? And it's very unusual, but I mean, how you do an awful lot of research in here.
Yes.
How common is the experience that we've heard about?
Remarkably common. You wouldn't believe how many people have had an experience like this, and also how consistent it is all over the world. The first thing I want to say is that it would be difficult for people out there who've not gone through this, or don't have someone in their family who's had this experience, to accept the reality and the terrifying, traumatic reality of this experience, because that's what it is. It doesn't matter how we interpret it. The fact is that these people go through an experience which they can't understand, and they're not fantasy prone. That's a theory which some people have had for a long time. We've done a number of experiments now which have effectively ruled that out. They're also not people who are believing in UFOs and waiting on hilltops for them to arrive. These come from a wide cross-section of the population. They don't want this to happen to them. They wish it never had happened to them. It just simply has. And we owe it to ourselves as a society to try and figure this out, treat them with sympathy and work out what's going on here.
What are the aliens after?
Well, of course, we mustn't run before we can jump here. We have to find an explanation for what's happening, and we take that step by step. We accept that there's something strange. We accept that these people are telling stories which they believe have happened to them, and then we piece together what has occurred. There certainly is some supporting evidence that there is an alien intelligence behind these experiences, but that's an extreme conclusion to reach, and you have to obviously find the real hard evidence to prove it.
Well, thank you both very, very much indeed. It is absolutely fascinating. And we shall talk to you both later on. Thank you very much.
Okay. It was eerie. And we both remember getting out of the car to fiddle around with the bonnet. Couldn't find anything wrong with the engine.
Now, our next guest, Roz Reynolds, believes she was actually abducted by aliens. Now, this is how her fateful night began when she and her boyfriend set off to visit friends in Norfolk, some 2 hours' drive away from where she lived.
It was just starting to get dark. As we were driving along, a bank of horseshoe-shaped lights suddenly came from my side where I was sitting in the passenger seat. And it zipped over the top of us about 2 or 3 times. And then it eventually settled to match our speed. It was like a big white ball. You could see into it. It was very bright, but it didn't hurt your eyes to look at. And suddenly the car stopped dead. It was like in the middle of nowhere, and it was just sitting there. It hadn't landed. It was just like hovering, floating. There was no sound, no wind, no noise. It was eerie. And we both remember getting out of the car to fiddle around with the bonnet. Couldn't find anything wrong with the engine. We continued the journey. It suddenly just shot heavenwards. We finally got to friends. They'd been expecting us at 10 o'clock, and it was 2 o'clock in the morning. But it was what happened afterwards that I realised there was something else going on.
Well, that was the reconstruction. Roz is now with us in the studio to tell us about that experience, together with Jenny Randalls, and Jenny is Britain's foremost expert on UFOs. Roz, you've never actually gone public before with this and spoken in public. Why now?
I think it's basically because the public look at it as something crazy, something weird. They can't see it, they can't touch it, they can't feel it, so therefore they look at you as though you're ready for the funny farm.
Just going back to your story on that particular night, what can you remember about being inside the spacecraft?
Oh, I remember the feelings, I remember the smells, I remember being frightened.
And what did these things look like?
Well, the beings.
Yeah.
They were small, about 3'6", large head, big eyes. I always remember the eyes. And then there was another being much taller with blonde wispy hair.
Is this your actual sketch? Where did this sketch come from?
That came almost immediately after the event. I woke up in, well, I didn't exactly wake up. I got up in the middle of the night and I sat there with my eyes shut doing dots. When I woke up the next morning, there it was. And I've got several more pictures like that. All I do is dots. I just sit there and just doing dots on a piece of paper, and that's what comes out.
Roz, how has this changed your life?
Well, at first you go through fear, disbelief in yourself, belief that you're mad. The problem is out there was nobody you can talk to. It's not like you've had a car accident or you've had something happen to you in Vietnam and you got backup. You just cannot talk to people because their immediate reaction is you're crazy. I've had to actually go through and cope with it myself. I spent 3 years locked away.
Yes.
Eventually I had
You
to
can't
come
really
out.
sort of go to your doctor and say, Doctor, excuse me, my nerves are bad, I've been taken away by spacemen.
That's right.
Yeah. Jenny, from your investigations, how unique was Roz's experience?
I think she's very brave to talk about it, and I think people should understand that this is not someone who is strange or bizarre trying to get attention. She is going through a nightmare, just reliving and telling this experience. But it is not unique. There are people like this all over the world who've gone through almost identical experiences, who know nothing about other stories. They don't read UFO books or watch science fiction films. This is something that's happened to them out of the blue. They wish it never had happened.
Yeah. But Roz, experimentation took place and you've got the scars to prove it on your body. You actually think, though, at its most extreme, that you may have given birth to an alien being? Or
possibly. There is that possibility. I believe that they are doing some kind of genetic experimentation. They look upon us basically as just some kind of experiment. That's the feeling that I get inside.
Mm-hmm.
They're not here to be nasty, or they don't look at us as animals or anything like that. They're just curious in us.
And Jenny, if anyone else feels that they've gone through Roz's experience, that this has happened to them, and naturally enough they assume, you know, people will laugh at them or whatever, what's your advice to them?
I think it helps them to talk about it, to bottle it up inside of you. It stays there like a time bomb, and it can really destroy your life if you're not careful. It's much easier to share it with others. There are people who've gone through this experience. You're not alone. There will be people who will listen sympathetically to you.
Where
Come
are
to
those
us,
people?
talk to us. You can certainly talk to me. If you contact the television company here, they'll be happy to put you in touch with me, and we'll make sure that you're listened to by someone who will take your story seriously.
I actually found somebody through the public library and through a newspaper article. So possibly the libraries could probably put you through to UFO.
UFO experts.
Yeah.
I know it was painful for you to talk. I'm sorry we haven't had more time, because I know it was painful for you to actually watch that reconstruction.
Come on! Get back in the truck!
Get out of there! What is that?
Fascinating. Travis Walton joins us now, live from Phoenix. Travis, good morning to you, and thank you very much indeed for joining us. I wonder, what do you think of the film, first of all? Is it an accurate portrayal of what happened to you?
Yeah, I think to a great extent the movie really captures the emotions of what we went through back then.
Right. What do you remember of what actually happened to you? Can you remember it all very clearly?
Yeah, I can remember it all very clearly, just like it was yesterday. I can't remember everything. I was missing for 5 days and 6 hours, and I can only remember less than an hour of that time. But it's as clear to me today as it was then.
Sure. So what actually happened to you?
There were 7 of us. We were working in the mountainous, forested region of Arizona here, and we just finished a long, hard day's work in the woods, and it was starting to get dark. And we loaded our chainsaws and equipment in the back of this truck, and we're headed home. And as we were driving through the forest there, we saw this strange light coming through the trees. And at first we thought it was perhaps a forest fire, or maybe a plane had crashed or something. But when we finally got around these trees where we could see the source of this light, we saw this object hovering near the road. And it was unmistakable. It was so close that there was just no mistaking it. It was not some hazy, glowing ball of gas. There was a definite mechanical object hovering in the sky there.
And did you actually have a close encounter with these aliens? Did you meet them?
Yeah, as soon as we got around where we could see it, one of the men yelled out, "It's a spaceship," or something like that, and somebody yelled, "Stop the truck." And as soon as the truck came to a stop, I got out and headed towards this thing, thinking that it was just going to be gone in an instant, that it would just take off as soon as I approached, but it didn't. And the guys in the truck, the rest of the crew, were yelling at me to get away from there and get back in the truck. And as I got closer to it, it started to rise up, and the sound got louder, and that scared me even more. So I jumped down behind the end of a log there for cover, and I made up my mind to get out of there. And as soon as I raised up to go, I just felt this shock go through my body. It just made me go numb, and I blacked out. The rest of the crew said that at that instant, a powerful bolt of energy came out of the bottom of the craft and hit me in the head and the upper body and just threw me back through the air. They said it looked like a grenade went off in front of me and that they thought I'd been killed. So
it would be so scary, that. I mean, it would be so frightening anyway for that to happen. But I wonder, did you feel, despite all of that, the intentions of what happened to you, that the intentions of these aliens were friendly, or what did you think they were? Curious, inquisitive, what?
Well, you know, looking back on it, I don't see it as negative as I experienced it at the time. But at the time I experienced it, it was very, very traumatic for me. I came to and I was in a tremendous amount of pain. I saw these strange creatures standing over me, and just the strangeness of the situation combined with the pain and feeling trapped, and I just panicked and I just became hysterical. And I was hysterical pretty much the whole time until they finally put me down on a table and put a mask over my face, and I blacked out. And the next thing I knew, I was...
You know that people are sceptical, and you know that people won't believe what you say. How have you managed to cope with that and that sort of reaction?
Well, you know, it's been really difficult because, you know, people from the very start were just desperate to explain it away. The first thing right off the bat was my coworkers were accused of murdering me and making up the story to cover up for what they'd done. And then the state police came in and gave them polygraph tests, and when they passed that, then people started saying, well, maybe they just had a drug hallucination and this was all a figment of their imagination. And it was just one accusation after another. I myself underwent medical tests that proved I was not under the influence of any drug. I taken and passed 3 separate polygraph tests. I took a battery of psychiatric examinations to, you know, which completely did away with the theory that I'd had a transitory psychosis. But, you know, what none of these theories take into consideration is how do 7 men have an identical hallucination? It just doesn't happen.
Sure. Travis, stay with us. Fascinating to talk to you, because also in the studio we have Philip Mantle, who's Director of Investigations at the British UFO Research Association. Now, you've met Travis, and you've seen the film, read the book. What do you think of his story?
Well, both Travis and I met one of his colleagues, who's also his brother-in-law, called Mike Rogers, a very sincere gentleman. I think Travis mentioned that there'd been numerous accusations aimed at both him and the rest of his colleagues, and I would have to echo what he's had to say, that none of those accusations since 1975, when the incident happened, have stuck at all. They're all complete hogwash. And at the end of the day, much like the movie, you have to make up your own mind whether you believe Travis and his colleagues and many other people like these people around the world. And I can find no reason to disbelieve the gentleman whatsoever.
Indeed, we had a lady where you're sitting who claimed that she was abducted by aliens. And no matter what you say, and people will scoff, of course they will, and people will deride what folks say, they believe it. It's true to them. They really do sincerely believe that has happened. Have you ever experienced, perhaps, have you seen a UFO? Have you experienced in any way that sort of phenomenon?
I had a UFO sighting back in July of 1984. And I've personally interviewed many people like Travis who've had some very unusual experiences, and they themselves are convinced of the reality of the experience. And like Travis and his colleagues, we can find no suggestions that they're hallucinating or on drugs or purely making the story up for sensational reasons. Travis, much to his, I think he would agree with this, didn't want the publicity. And what you do find with people who have these experiences, they are the same. They tend to shy away from publicity, although there are one or two who are brave enough, if you like, to speak on the record because they want to know what's happened to them, and they think it's important enough that other people should know as well. It's a very moving experience in many different ways for individual people.
Well, you have to keep an open mind, and obviously you have to keep an open mind, of course you do. And it's a huge universe. I mean, you know, you can't comprehend how big it is, and it would be very arrogant to assume that we're the only forms of life here. But do you think that if there was anything like, what I'm trying to say is, are we ready to cope with this kind of thing? Because we can't get on with one another, so what like are we going to be with beings from outer space?
Well, I don't know if we're ready to cope or not, and an interesting fact about this whole subject is that, like Travis and his colleagues, they were convinced that they'd actually met a physical craft and physical beings. But when I've spoken to some of the people in this country, they have different ideas about the nature and origin of their experience. So I've often argued that the U in UFO still stands for unidentified, and we really don't know what we're dealing with.
We don't. Thank you very much indeed for talking to us.
Pleasure.
Thank you. And to Travis Walton for joining us from Phoenix, Arizona. Thank you.
We're staying with the world of the unexplained. In our next film, it features insurance salesman Joe Callan, who lives in Corby, near Leicester. Joe was in his back garden when his family experienced a close encounter of the Corby kind.
Well, it was grey and overcast, and we're out looking to see if we're going to spray the blossoms. And while I got to this part of the tree, I noticed an object in the sky. I had no idea where it was, and my wife, I asked her to go and get the binoculars. And she came back and looked, and to her surprise, it was something that was quite extraordinary. It came across from the north, over this way, over the houses and over the top of the conifers. And it was just very slowly moving. And it came over further and over the top of our head. Then it changed direction and headed directly south. And then we lost it into the clouds. I thought it was a microlight, but it was moving far too slow for it to be a microlight. So I dashed off quick to get my video camera to capture it on video. It isn't just one thing, Sean. It's a cluster. There's one or two things like stuck together.
It looks like a bunch of frog spawn up in the sky. That's what it looks like.
And it's got something underneath it as well. If it was balloons, it wouldn't be going against the wind. The clouds are going in the opposite direction. So if it's going north to south, whatever is powered against it, it's round anyway, Margaret. It's not quite what you think.
We can rule out obvious explanations straight away. It obviously is not an aircraft, or at least not a conventional one. It's not a helicopter, nor does it behave like a balloon or a microlight. So we're left with only a few possibilities. I've viewed the footage, spoken to Joe, and seen what he's had to put in writing about the incident, and it is very intriguing indeed. More and more people are taking the subject more seriously than perhaps in the past. We're fortunate in this incident that Joe's been prepared to stand up and say, well, I just filmed this thing. I don't know what it is. I just filmed it. You tell me.
I'm interested in UFOs, but I'm not that arrogant to think that we're the only intelligent beings in the universe. I need convinced with hard evidence. There are a number of local people who I've spoke to who have seen UFOs, but they're afraid to come forward and say anything. I hope by showing this film that it will help people to come forward more with more information.
Well, he's definitely got the experts convinced. Joe definitely saw something strange flying over the skies of Corby, and maybe you did too. Were you near Corby at 7:40 p.m. on Saturday the 7th of May this year? It was a mild, overcast spring evening. Did you see anything strange in the skies? Maybe you can solve this because it's nothing strange at all. You were the pilot. Maybe you saw it from a different angle. Maybe you saw it land. If you did, please phone us now on 071 757 7001. We're waiting for the call that may give us the vital information.
His dear stalker to solve a few mysteries in his new programme, Schofield's Quest, and he's here to give us an update. But first, let's take a look back at some of the mysteries that he took on last night.
It was grey and overcast, and we're out looking to see if we're going to spray the blossoms. And while I got to this part of the tree, I noticed an object in the sky. I had no idea where it was. And my wife, I asked her to go and get the binoculars. And she came back and looked, and to her surprise, it was something that was quite extraordinary. It isn't just one thing, Sean. It's a cluster. There's one or two things like stuck together.
It looks like a bunch of frog spawn up in the sky. That's what it looks like.
And it's got something underneath it as well. If it was balloons, it wouldn't be going against the wind. The clouds are going in the opposite direction. So if it's going north to south, whatever is powered against it, it's round anyway, Margaret. It's not quite what you think.
Well, Philip's here this morning. Now, you got quite a lot of calls about that, didn't you?
Yes, lots of calls. Corby is obviously a hotbed of extraterrestrial activity. So Joe saw these objects in the sky. The calls we got last night, in the last 6 to 8 weeks, loads of local people have seen various different things in the sky. We had lots of calls, especially some relating to that night in question. There were also, speaking of red or orange lights in the sky over Corby, moving slowly towards them, all saw the UFOs in or around the same time and place. They were spotted by Joe. A man in Doncaster apparently saw a cylindrical shape in the sky. But also, we did say that we're not saying we're out looking for aliens. If you've got a proper explanation for this, then, you know, if it was you that was flying, whatever it was, but a guy actually did phone in.
That long ago, sure.
No, a guy phoned in and said that on that night he was inflating helium balloons, but had overfilled them, and they flew off into the sky, looking very much like frogs.
Really? Hey, we better just explain, you know, before we go any further, exactly what Schofield's Quest is all about. It's a bit like a cross between Notes and Queries and a bit of Crime Watch and something else, really, isn't it?
Roadshow, a little bit of everything, really. Yeah, it's all thrown in there. It's a case of, and we didn't want to limit ourselves to any specific area, and so it's a very wide, broad program, like a ward program. It's like this blunderbuss effect of covering everything, and it really is a program of loose ends
and then you ask people to phone in and sort of say if they've
there's nothing better than a television audience sitting captive in their seats, everyone an armchair detective. There's nothing better than 10, 14 million people who might have access to questions and answers that baffle the experts. So we've thrown it open on all sorts of different subjects, from UFOs to missing people.
I hope I pronounced that right, from Jersey. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Anna. Yes, quite right. Pronounced nicely. Really, as far as the whole Roswell incident is concerned, the thing that I think disturbs me the most is, as Graham will know, there's a heck of a character called Stanton T. Friedman in UFO research. And really, he is Roswell, as far as I'm concerned. I'm sure Graham will agree with me on that. Yeah. I can't really recall at any stage him being asked to make a personal viewing of the film, which I would have thought would have given credibility right from the very start.
Absolutely.
I see you nodding your head, Graham, as a saying, which is no doubt you agree with me.
Yes. And indeed, Graham himself hasn't been invited to see the film. Anyway, Kevin, we will see it tonight, and we can judge on that. Thanks a lot for your call. Alan King from Italy. What's your view, Alan?
Hello. Well, I'd like to confirm what you said earlier, Anna, about the quality of the film. It's obviously done by either a rank amateur or somebody trying to fake it, you know, make it so that you can't really understand what's going on. The closer you get, the more out of focus it gets. And as for the possibility of it being faked, it is an elaborate fake if it is such a thing. But do you remember that Hitler's diaries? They were a pretty good fake.
That's a very good point indeed, and a lot of people were taken in by it. Alan, thanks very much indeed. Jason Gillett from Sweden. Now, you've actually seen the film, I think.
Yeah, we had it last night, and the first point I'd like to make is that the quality of the black and white footage was actually extremely high, which raised my eyebrows straight away. Secondly, you had Timothy Good on last week. He raised various questions, including the 4 fingers point. There were notably 6 fingers in the film. Apparently, also there was originally more than one body found, which I don't think has been addressed either. Can anything be said about that?
Graham, I think there's a point for you to take out.
Well, according to the owners of the footage, the first thing that they said was that there was 1 dead alien and 3 live ones. That's now turned around completely to 3 dead ones and 1 live one, and the story's changed so much. All the evidence from some of the witnesses who were actually there at Roswell has suggested that there was between 5 and 9 extraterrestrials of some kind.
Right.
But yes, not one ever described 6 fingers.
OK, well, most of the callers seem to agree with you that you think it was a hoax, and even a caller who's seen the film. Let's move on and see if we get any more points of view. Mark Trevelyan from Hertfordshire. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, what I'd just like to ask Graham is this. I listened to him say that he's sure that the film's a hoax. Yeah, up until now, everything that he's ever heard about the Roswell thing has only been verbal. Yeah, he's willing to take the verbal exactly at face value. Yet being offered anything of film footage, which would surely give him some idea as to what really happened there, even though there's been some over, 200 and odd people were involved in that and all told to clam up and be quiet about it, he still won't accept a piece of film footage. What would it actually take,
well,
Graham?
I think
what would he actually have to see before he would believe?
Well, I think it's very relevant at this point to make mention of the fact that Stanton T. Friedman, the original investigator of the Roswell incident, has now seen the footage, courtesy of Fox Paramount in the United States. Now, this is a man that has spent the best part of 17 years studying, investigating, researching, and as Kevin from Jersey made mention of, he is the one man who could say definitively whether that footage has any bearing whatsoever on the Roswell incident, and he said no, and not on any other UFO incident either, and he's seen it and he's debunked it.
And interesting, Ray Santilli, who's actually contributed this footage and given the footage to Channel 4 and owns the rights to it, still won't say who the photographer was that he got the footage from. Anyway, let's see if we have some more callers. Simon Lewis from Glasgow, good evening to you.
Hi, good evening, and welcome to Graham. My point I'd like to make is the fact that when you're looking at the footage and saying it looks very humanoid, so it obviously can't be can't be real. It's obviously a hoax. The fact is that we don't really know what persons from another planet would actually look like. What I'm thinking is that maybe that we're part of an experiment that's been planted here. We don't know. All we've got is the fact that a scientist says that our background is from apes. We don't really know where we came from. So the fact is that
right.
I think it's
okay, Simon. We take your point, and very briefly, yes, Graham, you can respond.
Dr. Christopher Milrow, who's a Home Office pathologist, has actually seen the footage at the invitation of Channel 4. He's in no doubt that it's 100% humanoid. And just coming back to Dr. Paul O'Higgins again, he said that the genetic anomalies, i.e. where you get 6 fingers and an enlarged brain casing, is quite a common occurrence and occurs in high frequencies throughout the planet. It's not unusual to find humanoid figures with 6 fingers.
OK, well, we'll have a chance to judge for ourselves tonight. Graham Birdsall, thanks very much for joining us. That's it from me for tonight. My thanks to both my guests, Reg Presley and Graham Birdsall. We'll be back with another edition of Talkback tomorrow. Bye-bye.
We meet the investigator who says they've been here for years and that the American government is on the verge of owning up to the fact. Join us in a couple of minutes.
Oh yes, I recognise that music, those close encounters. Welcome back. The subject now is aliens. The question, are they already here? Now, this remarkable image appeared in the tabloids this week, billed as the real face of a being from outer space. Ready to scoff? Well, our next guest offers the startling claim that the American government is on the brink of a public education program which admits aliens do exist. Timothy Good, you've written this book, and some very interesting facts emerged from it. You say that governments have not only known about aliens, but they have been monitoring UFOs for about 40 years. We're talking, obviously, the main government, Soviet Union, and specifically the USA. And they have been working with, studying, and meeting with, cooperating with alien beings. Now, Timothy, this is great science fiction.
Well, I think I should point out that there have now been thousands of reports by highly qualified observers. And under the Freedom of Information Act, tens of thousands of documents have now been released by agencies such as the CIA, FBI, National Security Agency, Defense Intelligence Agency, the Atomic Energy Commission, and many others. All those agencies denied for decades any serious involvement in UFO research. And now they also admit that they are withholding many documents on UFOs in the interests of national security.
Why are they withholding them? Why the cover-up? For goodness sake, this is big news. Extraterrestrials on the planet Earth working with the US government.
I think there are many good reasons for the cover-up. First of all, they want to avoid overreaction by the media and the public. Secondly, that there is a clear defense interest, since they apparently have acquired a number of these craft since the late 1940s, and they're not about to
Hang
let
on
anyone...
1 second. The US government have acquired flying objects, spacecraft.
Sure. This is one of the most sensational allegations in my book, I agree, but it has been confirmed by a former director of the National Security Agency, who is also a former deputy director of the CIA, Admiral Bobby Ray Inman. Furthermore, another intelligence chief, who is called Rear Admiral Shapiro, former director of naval intelligence, has also confirmed to former NASA mission specialist Bob Exler that we have actually acquired a number of extraterrestrial vehicles for research and testing.
Heinz Wolf, have you read this book?
Yes, I've got it here with me.
What do you think of it?
Well, I'm not given to strong language, as my friends will know, but I think it's a lot of balls.
Do you not mean sort of universal spheres rather than balls?
Bollocks.
Bollocks, I think.
Sorry.
Why?
Well, really at three levels. The first, I mean, taking this more seriously, the first level is the government's conspiracy. It is well known that Western government in particular can't keep anything secret for more than a week or two. There were toy versions of the stealth bomber on the market before anybody else was supposed to know about the stealth bomber. I cannot believe that for 40-odd years, such sensational news can indeed have been kept from the public by some sort of universal conspiracy, and that it is people who are very peripheral in general, who've seen something by peripheral vision, who should spring.
But it's quite clear, if you have read the book, it's quite clear there is some form of a cover-up. That's undeniable.
Well,
they're covering something up. The question is what?
Well, I mean, let me my second reason of disbelief. I think if there is a cover-up, then they're covering up what may well be genuine defense research. I mean, there must have been test flights by stealth bombers and test flights by other kinds of secret airplanes, which governments quite genuinely wanted to cover up. My second level of disbelief is some of the evidence which is actually in this book. For instance, on one page, there is a description of a gravity-free room in which the conditions which governments are spending billions of dollars to create an orbiting spacecraft can actually be produced on Earth. Now, if this were to be true, then the Americans, the Soviets, and the Europeans are wasting enormous sums of money in orbiting spacecraft in order to do microgravity experiments. It's something which I am very interested in doing. So this is most unlikely.
Basically, Heinz Wolf, it's something you just don't understand because these people are light years ahead of us in technology. So why should you understand it? You're just an earthling.
No, but if the governments have access to microgravity conditions on the ground, nobody would bother to run a space program. And the space programs are consuming enormous sums of money. So they're cheating themselves.
Tim Good.
Yes, well, I'd like to point out that I'm at present cooperating with a senator's aide in the United States who deals with a Senate Appropriations Committee on international and national security policies. He is currently investigating the misappropriation of huge sums of money into top-secret research into UFOs. So there's one answer for you. The other one is that Mr. Bob Exler, who is a former NASA mission specialist who's actually worked on the shuttlecraft, has actually experienced this anti-gravity chamber 20 miles outside Houston. And why don't you talk to him about it?
Well, why don't we talk to him about it?
Let's do that,
We've got him on the phone.
Right, let's do that.
All right, Bob Exler, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Nicky.
Now, first of all, you were a NASA mission specialist, right?
Yes, I was a NASA mission specialist. My area of expertise is robotics, and I did work on a variety of projects, the Apollo-Soyuz test project, the International Ultraviolet Explorer, and I also worked on the shuttle project involving the mechanical manipulator arm. I would like to make a couple of comments, if I might, just in answer to some of the comments that I've just heard, one involving the issue of keeping secrets. The United States government's in the business of keeping secrets. That's essentially what they do. There's quite a number of statistics out showing vast numbers in the millions per year of secrets that are classified. The issue of sensationalism surrounding this particular topic is essentially the one thread that makes it possible to maintain secrecy for such a long period of time.
All right, Bob, I want to ask you a few questions because I know you've got some interesting things to say. You've seen pictures, photographs of aliens, right?
Yes, I have.
What do they look like?
Well, there's actually a variety of species that somehow or another have managed to interact with this planet. The primary and dominant one, which seems to be interacting with the human population, it's really somewhat more ominous than I would prefer to get into, but they're, as far as their descriptions, they're rather small in stature. They're about roughly 4 feet high, a little over a meter tall. They have a somewhat oversized head in proportion to the rest of the body. They are humanoid. They have 2 legs, 2 arms, hands. The hands have but 3 fingers and kind of a stub of a thumb. The
Not unlike
eyes
something
are
Steven...
extraordinarily large, almond-shaped.
Not unlike something that Steven Spielberg would come up with.
Not entirely. In fact, the figure that a lot of people are familiar with, the creature E.T. from the movie E.T., is in fact a composite that was done from real aliens, both live and deceased, that have been recovered in a variety of situations involving crashes of these vehicles. Of
Right.
course,
Talking of the vehicles, just
another issue.
talking of the vehicles, I want to bring in David Whitehouse, science correspondent, who's with us tonight. Just talking of the vehicles which you mentioned there, you can categorically state that you have spoken to top American physicists who have worked on and examined these vehicles, these UFOs.
Absolutely.
David Whitehouse.
This seems to be the case all the way through. People have talked to somebody else. If you read this book, if this is the best evidence that you can come up with 43 years after aliens walked onto an Air Force base in America, then this evidence is pretty poor and wouldn't convict anybody. What they're saying is so amazing. First contact with an alien from another planet, another civilization, would be a major event in human civilization.
But would it? Would they not want to keep it quiet?
No.
Because does it not undermine civilization? The mere fact that there are more intelligent beings than us, does that not undermine governments?
I think what we've established is that governments are paranoid and they're in the process of keeping things secret. They're insecure. The fact that UFO documents are kept secret, some of them are released, some of them are kept classified, shows that governments can keep pieces of paper secret. I mean, they do that all the time.
You're a trained cynic, you're a scientist.
What I would like is tough-mindedness. What they're saying is so amazing that in order to convince people who are open but tough-minded about it, they have to come up with the evidence, and the evidence is pretty appalling.
What evidence do you want? Do you want them to appear on the Wogan show?
Well, I want something more. Yes, that would be fine. I'd like to see President Bush landed at a top-secret American Air Force base, walking down the steps from Air Force One, walking into a chamber to meet an alien, seeing an alien spaceship.
Let's speak to a man
I want something other than
you want
second-hand
concrete proof, you want an alien to walk up and shake your hand. Bob Exler?
Yes.
Why don't the aliens do more to reveal themselves to us?
Well, let us look at it in the perspective of what we have in terms of the evidence of what the aliens have accomplished. I think you could liken it to looking at the human population as a laboratory experiment.
We're guinea pigs.
Yeah, it's like guinea pigs. Now, do you think the guinea pigs would actually be able to convince one of us to come and communicate directly to them about what we're going to do to them? I think not.
What I'm saying to you...
The situation entails here a very extraordinary series of experiments that have been going on where, in effect, the human population is the guinea pig here.
What I'm saying to you is, Bob, do the aliens want to reveal themselves to us? Or are they quite happy keeping it on a sort of clandestine level?
Well, the evidence has clearly been in the past that the aliens have participated as much in the cover-up, if you will, as the governments have. However, there certainly appears as though there is somewhat of an alien glasnost policy going on in the town of Gulf Breeze, Florida, where I am presently. For 3 years consecutive now, there have been so many very close-up encounters and sightings and photographs and videotapes. High-technology photographs are being done even as we speak now. I have examined a lot of this material. In fact, in January of this year, I was able to bring an ABC network television crew here, and within 3 days, we had 2 sightings and recorded it on videotape using high-resolution camera equipment, and it was subsequently broadcast across America. It's ironic that some 80% of the United States missed that part of the broadcast because of the Gulf War update. However, it was subsequently run some weeks later.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Heinz Wolf, yeah, but do you still think it's a load of nonsense?
Yes, but can I ask quite a specific question about this gravity-free room? Because that is perhaps more easy to demonstrate than an alien. Have you been inside this gravity-free room? And if you have, and if experienced microgravity, why do you think billions of dollars are being spent to establish microgravity conditions in space?
Well, I think that's quite obvious, really. I'm also aware of some other projects where this same technology was applied to the B-2 stealth project.
The stealth bomber
is a case where there's some $842 million per plane being spent when they have technology that's infinitely superior. The key and the answer to your question regarding waste is it's not waste at all. We're talking about jobs. We're talking about economics.
Right, let's not talk about jobs and economics just now, Bob, because you make a very interesting point there. You say that the stealth bomber, which we all know, of course, from the Gulf conflict, came, really, the aliens helped us build that plane. Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't say the aliens helped us build it, no. What I would say is that we have been working with the technology for so long, we have found ways to adapt the technology for our own uses. And in the case of the B-2 stealth project, at least, I don't know about the 117A stealth fighter, but in the stealth bomber project, I'm fully aware of the development of an anti-gravity cabin for that particular plane. It was designed, in fact, for vertical takeoff and landing.
David Whitehouse, you can't argue with that.
The stealth bomber is an interesting bit of technology, but its performance in the Gulf War was not particularly impressive. Isn't it rather stupid of the American government when they have got these gravity alien spacecraft which can seemingly flit around in the atmosphere undetected at enormous speeds, to be messing around with the crude technology of a stealth bomber?
Well, the answer to that's quite simple. Why bring out your best ammunition when you don't need but just a little bit of old technology to handle the situation? Why give away your hand? Don't you play poker?
It's interesting, though, the attitude about the American government, because, Timothy, in your book, you say, and a lot of it is hearsay and rumour, but it's very interesting hearsay and rumour, and as you say, people aren't going to actually come out and say this because too much is at risk. But you say there's an interesting theory on the series of space films that we've been seeing, you know, E.T., Close Encounters of the Third Time. What's that exactly?
Well, it has been speculated that a number of science fiction films have received a certain amount of backing from the United States government to promote the general concept of extraterrestrials. But it's just a hypothesis. I'm not saying that's true.
There was a rumour at some stage, and you mentioned in your book, The Cosmic Journey. There was a George Bush-sanctioned exhibition which was going to actually show off a UFO.
Well, as a matter of fact, both Bob and I have been involved in this Cosmic Journey project, which is a planned international exhibition funded by the United States government with Rockwell International and NASA, and it is apparently to feature an extraterrestrial vehicle and or a body, and Bob Exler has gained a great deal of information about this from people, for example, a general in the Pentagon. Perhaps he can tell us more about it.
No, this is the most amazing thing. I mean, why do it like
hang on, we've got Bob back. Yeah, go on, Bob. You had a meeting in the Pentagon with a general about an exhibition that you were going to show off an unidentified flying object which had been captured or surrendered.
Yes, that's true. As a matter of fact, the meetings really started down in Orlando, Florida, which is the corporation that was essentially the front for developing the project. It's a dual project involving the United States and Tokyo as well. In fact, Junichi Yaoi, who is here with me in Gulf Breeze, was my counterpart on the Tokyo exhibit.
Okay.
The exhibit essentially is to create a traveling exhibit to show the planetary space program, the development of that program. Fully 1/3 of the exhibit involves the UFO phenomenon, and as Timothy pointed out, a disc and a variety of other issues.
Right, that's about 33%. You had your hand up, Mr. Cohen. What would you like to say?
I'd like to change the subject a little bit off the technology. It seems to me that I find these aliens unbelievable. I find them unbelievable because very nearly all of them are so immensely humanoid. It seems that the people who've seen them have used far too little information, far too little imagination, I'm sorry. Because on this planet, we look like the things that are most familiar to us, obviously. But if we ran evolution again, even on this planet, we would get a totally different kind of creature. We wouldn't have something like that.
What you're saying is he's got 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth.
That 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth is perhaps the kind of thing you might get convergently in a variety of cases. Sure. But to have that really bad design problem that I have trouble with myself,
It's actually a model.
But it's got a nose above the mouth.
It's a model based on an original description. It was actually a model exhibited in Montreal in 1967.
So I can't
it's not
look at
the real
anything to
thing.
do with it and say it's got a head. That creature, like me, has an ancestor who was a fish. It is too like us. It is a land vertebrate on this planet. It is like, it's so coincidentally exactly like us.
Why doesn't it have, why doesn't it have 6 legs and a head down here and legs up here?
Well, there are reasons
That's science fiction. That's science fiction.
Well,
if you can...
I'm a professional in actually designing convincing aliens in science fiction.
Are you a prophet?
No, but I'm a scientist and I'm professional about it.
You have been abducted by aliens, David.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, basically the experience entailed me actually going to bed, finding myself on a craft with 2 alien beings, very much human in appearance, no weird features, blonde hair, shoulder length, silver suit. The female occupant actually pressed the button, showed me a star chart, and telepathically said this is where she came from.
Sort of A to Z of the galaxy?
Sort of, yeah.
Where did she come from?
Well, she didn't actually say as such, like this is Delta, Zelta. She just said this was a part of the universe that she actually came from, but not actually named it sort of specifically. I woke up the next morning sort of confused, but convinced myself that it had actually happened.
And what did they look like? Did they have noses and eyes?
Very much like us, human in appearance. Very much human, nothing weird about them at all.
What's this you've got there in your hand?
Well, this is a model of the classic flying saucer, which is just one of the types of craft that have been seen around Earth for the last 40, 50 years.
You come from the Aetherius Society, don't you?
That's correct.
Your leader, Sir George King, is in constant contact with Aetherius, a being from Venus.
He's had a contact with beings from within this solar system and outside it for over 35 years.
Is he just a fruitcake?
No, no, he's not. He's actually a master...
Madeira cake? Keep going.
He's actually a master of yoga. He's someone who's developed the higher aspects of mind and is able to bring about a very unusual form of transmediumship.
Timothy Good, do accounts like this help your cause at all?
Not at all. I regard George King as a charlatan who's knighted himself and doctored himself. He calls himself His Eminence the Reverend Dr. Sir George King. He certainly wasn't knighted by the Queen.
So generally speaking, I can't...
Knighted and his various titles he has not bestowed on
But
himself.
I must make one thing clear, the Queen didn't knight him. Archie Roy, do aliens exist?
I think that, like the majority of professional astronomers, I find it almost inconceivable that aliens do not exist. But in 35 years of my profession as an astronomer, I have not come across any piece of hard evidence that they do. And yet, the International Astronomical Union has a commission to search for extraterrestrial intelligence. It takes the whole subject seriously, but its opinion is that there is no evidence whatsoever as of the present moment.
Well, that's almost halfway towards what you're saying, Tim, isn't it? Governments are indeed taking it seriously. And in your book, you quote Mikhail Gorbachev, who says that the phenomenon of UFOs must be taken seriously.
That's correct, last year.
Mikhail Gorbachev said that, David.
You're mixing 2 different things up here. UFOs, things people see in the sky, could be an atmospheric phenomenon. We don't know. They are unidentified flying objects. They prove nothing. If the government collects pieces of paper on them and classifies them, it says more about governments than it does about what they know about UFOs. Aliens in spaceships, people being taken for rides, frozen alien bodies in a travelling circus, antimatter, anti-gravity drives, they're totally different from UFOs. A government would be irresponsible not to take UFOs seriously because of the implications for defence.
And one of the most powerful men in the world says we have to take these things seriously, so they must be taken seriously at some levels of government.
Of course they do. Governments collate, they correct, they investigate all sorts of things, and they classify all sorts of things. It proves nothing about silver-suited aliens, be they anthropomorphic or anything else. Where is the evidence?
Anthropo what? Bob Exler. Bob Exler, can you still hear me?
Yes, I have a comment.
Where did... I want really to ask you a question. I know that the physicists on Earth that you've been in contact with have spoken to these aliens. I want to know where these aliens come from, and I want to know where do we come from.
Do they speak English?
Well, I can take the last question first about do they speak English. It's not necessary to speak any specific language of the planet because they predominantly use a telepathic type of communication which uses both hemispheres of the brain, and the translation is
right,
done
Bob.
instantaneously.
Bob, we're running out of time. Where do we come from? Where have these aliens told your friends that we come from?
Well, the best guess might be that we come from a planetary system, or actually a test tube project, if you will, from a planetary system 36.6 light years away. According to some of the documents the physicist has reviewed, it's...
what you're saying is we are a genetic experiment by alien beings and superior intelligences. Heinz Wolf, you don't look unlike that alien. Has anything that you've heard tonight, with all due respect, and you know I mean it, convinced you? Last word, briefly.
No, I think it is more probable that the traffic cones we see along the motorways are aliens than the evidence which we have been presented with today.
So you stand by your first comment?
Yes.
Thank you very much indeed, Timothy Good as well. Thank you.
Well, we have had several phone calls from people who claim to have seen UFOs. Mr. Moore from Telford says he saw an enormous triangular spaceship that swooped low over him. Caller from Brierley Hill says she and her son saw a UFO near their home. Barbara Forrest says she wasn't drunk, although she was frightened by what she believed was an alien craft. And a final call. John Cookston from Stratford says, we all know the American government cooperates with alien life forces. It certainly explains Dan Quayle. That's it for this week. Remember, we're back same time next Friday with that little and large debate. For now, from all of us here, good night.
Hundreds of people report seeing strange lights in the sky, UFOs and even flying saucers. But have they had a close encounter with aliens from outer space? Or can these sightings be explained logically? Let's see what you think.
Could be planes, helicopters, anything. People just make them up, I think. No, I don't believe in UFOs. I think they're British and they're sending men into space to see how far they can go.
To see if you can travel in outer space faster, and it could be a psychological experiment. Find out what happens when we see a UFO.
Yeah, I believe in UFOs because there's so many planets in space that there must be another planet inhabited. My dad was a pilot once, and his friend he was once looking at a radar, and he saw something that is invisible went past. It was a sort of a really fast. No, I don't believe in UFOs. I just think they're a load of rubbish. I do, because I think there's life on the planets.
With me now is Jenny Randalls, Britain's only full-time UFO investigator, and 11-year-old Terry Oakenson, who says that she has seen a UFO. Now, first of all, Jenny, can you tell us how you go about investigating UFOs?
Well, first thing we ask people to do if they've seen something is to fill out one of these forms, which ask them all questions about where it was in the sky, what time of day it was, things we need to know so that we can ask airports and weather centres and things like that who might have information which can help us find out if there are any aeroplanes or weather balloons or various things which can be mistaken for UFOs nearby.
Right. What do most cases turn out to be then?
At night, usually stars or meteors that are flashing through the sky. During the day, usually aeroplanes or helicopters. About 9 out of every 10 UFO sightings we find an explanation for.
Have there been any cases that have really baffled you?
There are some, such as this piece of movie film, which was taken by a man who was travelling to the job which he had, helping to design houses, and he saw this orange light through the side window of the car and managed to get some movie film of it. And some children in a nearby school who were playing in the school playground saw it come straight overhead, hovering and spinning around. So it's a very good case, and we were never able to find out what it was.
Well, what did you do to try to find it?
We took the film to have it analysed by the big laboratories of Kodak, and they were able to show definitely that it isn't a fake, it's a real piece of film of something that was in the sky. And we looked into all possibilities about aeroplanes and things like that, but there wasn't anything which should have been there. It's a UFO, yes.
It's a mystery.
Yes.
Now, Tara, you say that you've seen a UFO. Where was this?
Well, I was taking a friend home. Well, I was playing with her as well. And I saw a white light in the sky, and I told her, and she said, don't take no notice of it, just hurry up and then quickly get back home. So I did that, and I told my mum about it, and she reported it.
Oh, wow. Jenny, back to you. What about, you have done so many investigations, you've written 12 books and everything, but what I want to know is, do they really exist?
Well, UFOs, which means unidentified flying objects, means something that people can't explain. Yes, they do exist. If you're talking about are they little green men in spaceships, well, that's a different question, and we haven't got the proof of that. It's a possibility, but there are other possibilities too that we're looking at, scientific answers, which one day will probably just be accepted as same as we accept all kinds of scientific things now. It's tomorrow's science, we think.
Even photographs of UFOs are hard to prove because they're so easy to fake. So see if you can spot the difference between some so-called genuine UFO photos and some that we have cheated by throwing objects up into the air and photographing them. Jenny, would you like to talk us through some of them here?
Well, this particular picture was taken a long time ago. It was taken in 1950 by two farmers in America, and it's been put into a computer, and they've been able to do all kinds of clever things with it and show that this is really a very big object, about 30 foot across, a long way away from the camera. So we don't have anything that looks like that really is flying. So as far as we're concerned, it's a UFO.
Right. And what about this one?
Well, this was taken by a police officer who said he was cleaning his camera in Rochdale, and he saw this thing as it just flashed past his bedroom window. But someone pointed out to us that if you think about that being a policeman's helmet and that being the badge which is shining the sun off it, it looks just like he could have thrown his helmet out of the window and photographed that. We asked him, he said no, but, well, we remain open-minded about that.
Do you get many people trying to fake?
Yes, some do, but we can usually spot them. We've got very clever methods now. They can't fool us very easily.
Right, and this one?
Well,
these are the ones you see in books, isn't that right?
Yeah, these are the sort of UFOs that you expect UFOs to look like. These were taken by a man in Switzerland who says he's seen hundreds of them, and he's had aliens come round for tea as well. Unfortunately, he also had little models in his garage which looked exactly like these, which he'd thrown into the rubbish bin. And when investigators got there and pointed that out, he said, well, he made the models based on his photographs, and he didn't need them anymore because the photographs were so good. Well, maybe, maybe not.
Right, okay. Well, UFOs still remain an unexplained mystery. Thanks very much, Jenny and Terry, for coming along today.
Tales that there's life on Mars. But strange goings-on in Bonnybridge, Scotland, doesn't have quite the same ring about it. Yet, the villagers there have come across a host of unexplained happenings that would have X-Files scriptwriters scrabbling for their pens. A perfect case for Scully and Mulder, you might think. But their mobile phones were engaged, so we sent our own super sleuth, John Walters, to investigate.
The Bonnybridge Triangle, a mecca for UFOs. There's been so many sightings that it's now known around the world as a hotspot or window area. Strange lights in the sky, alien abductions. I decided to investigate, but at my age you have to take precautions.
Well, not that I expect to get abducted by aliens, but on the other hand, better safe than sorry.
Grip Insurers in the city. They won't make a drama out of a sighting. Here you can buy a comprehensive policy against any mishap involving extraterrestrials or spaceships.
In the event that you're abducted by aliens, we're able to provide you with £1 million. There's always the danger that you may be eaten by aliens. We again will provide you with £1 million.
Yeah, but if I've been wholly or even partly consumed by aliens, I mean, how am I going to claim?
Well, the burden of proof rests upon you, but we will accept all reasonable evidence.
Yes, okay, fine.
It's not a joke. 900 people have bought this insurance at a cost of £100 a year. And Grip Insurance are now looking into 2 claims. Let's hope I'm not the third.
There are getting on for 2,000 people in this area who've reported sightings of UFOs. That's about half the population of this town. Now, I've had a good look about, but I can't see anything that's so exciting that it would attract the attention of extraterrestrial beings. But the sightings are so frequent that people are now pointing their camcorders up to the sky in the hope of getting a picture of a spaceship passing over Bonnie Bridge. And that's just one point of this Scottish Bermudan McTriangle.
Barry MacDonald and his girlfriend Jane were driving home when Jane spotted something in the sky. They stopped to take a closer look. Barry grabbed his video camera from the car. This is what he recorded.
There's a big disc, and the colours, it started off white, then you see the red colours coming up through it, then it went back to white, and it started moving.
I knew it wasn't a helicopter or a balloon or anything, but I just couldn't give an explanation.
She was, Barry, is that a UFO? And I said, Jane, didn't talk daft. And she started laughing after that.
Stirling University, home base of the Scottish Earth Mystery Research Society. Its chairman, Ron Halliday, collects evidence of UFO sightings. His Bonnie Bridge X-file contains hundreds of unexplained reports. I caught up with him in the audio-visual lab, analysing yet more Bonnie Bridge footage.
Our first thought is that an aeroplane? I mean, is it a planet? You know, is it even some strange meteorological phenomenon? So there are checks that we can do to try and eliminate obvious natural explanations.
Yes, but why don't these things manifest themselves in, I don't know, Red Square or perhaps St. Peter's in Rome when the Pope's speaking? I mean, Bonnie Bridge is a very pleasant but unexceptional place. I mean, why do they come here?
Well, I mean, I think that's the question that people are asking for a long, long time. You know, why are they seeing over some areas? Why don't they land on the White House lawn? I think there's no obvious explanation for that. I mean, all we can say is that in some particular areas, there have been large numbers of UFOs reported.
From her house in nearby Stenhouse Muir, grandmother Margaret Ross has videoed no less than 6 close encounters since April.
You can see through your bedroom window, but what do you think it really is?
It's no balloon, it's no helicopter, it's no aeroplane, it's a UFO.
But I have to ask you this, I mean, are you the sort of person who already believes in, well, ghosts or fairies or the paranormal in some way?
Yes, I do. I do.
Last weekend I joined the Lancashire Aerial Phenomena Investigation Society for their annual convention. It's all here, books, models of aliens, theories about alien implants. They even showed me photos of dead aliens.
The only thing you can tell you is one was 6'4" and one was 6'2".
The man I really came to see, Nick Pope, looked at some Bonnie Bridge tapes for me. He spent 3 years investigating UFOs for the Ministry of Defence.
Many cosmologists are now coming round to the view that the universe is likely to be full of life.
Yes, but I gather there are these things called hotspots, which are, you know, clusters of sightings in the Midwest or Mexico or something. Where does Bonnie Bridge fit into that sort of Premier League?
It is the place where the action is. If you want to go and see a UFO at the moment, Bonnie Bridge seems to be as good a place as any to go and see it.
Riddle of the sky at night.
And from all over the world, they've come to do just that. The locals have had to enjoy media attention from as far away as Japan. Busloads of tourists pass through here, looking for life out there.
Bob Taylor saw the great
It's no wonder they were a bit suspicious of me.
No one knows where it came.
Evening.
But luckily, I spotted Ron from the university.
I've seen some of those people.
They were talking UFOs before they'd finished the first pint.
It was a bright white light. I thought it was a bit too low to be a star or anything like that.
There's a tingling feeling. In fact, I've not much hair, but it felt as if it was standing on end. And my fillings felt as if there was electricity going through them.
All these stories and I hadn't seen a thing. The lads agreed to take me on a UFO watch. There are almost as many theories as there are sightings. A new American spy plane, a window to another universe. Out here, I can't see the wood for the trees.
Careful, it's a bit misty. I suppose it doesn't matter if we talk. I mean, you don't frighten them off or anything, do you? Let's have a little look. Look through that gap. Wait a minute. No. No, I thought there was something, but no. Well, this usually works. No. No, I don't think they can hear me. Well, whatever's happening in this bit of Scotland will probably always remain a mystery. I've seen nothing. No saucers, no changing shapes, no hovering lights. I don't think I'm ever going to get a close encounter.
John Waters phone home. If he doesn't, do you think we get the £1 million?
Let's show you these pictures. This is the first time on proper television in this country that anyone has seen this. This is a 15-second film taken last Wednesday, just as dusk was about to fall, of a craft of some kind or a strange light above Falkirk in Stirlingshire. Now, it's not unusual for sightings to be made around this area. They call it the Bonnie Bridge Triangle because there's almost a sighting once every week. No one really knows why at all. Now, that was taken by a chap called Barry MacDonald, who's with me now with Jane Adamson. Now, the two of you were driving together in your car, just on your way to where?
We're going down to one of my friend's house down in Camlin.
Down to a friend? And who saw it first?
It was Jane. Jane spotted it first.
Just saw the strange light in the sky, and I had said to Barry, look up at the sky. And like the two of us watched it, and we didn't really care what to make it at first.
Let's just run the tape again. Let's just see the pictures. Now, what colour was it? An orange colour?
It started off white. It started off white, then it started to go orangey reddish. Then when it started moving, it came back to white again. Then you actually see it going onto its side and just vanishing. It moved a wee bit on its side, and it just vanished.
And luckily you had a camcorder in the boot of your car, so you managed to get just the last 30 seconds of it before it disappeared off.
Aye, I was there for about 15 minutes. Well, say about 15 to 20 minutes until we got the camera out, and it was only there for a matter of seconds, well, whatever I got it.
Now, you're sceptical. You have been sceptical about UFOs and strange things and unexplained events. Are you still sceptical, or do you believe it's something?
Well, I don't again really. I don't care what it is. There's something there, but I just don't know what it is. I'm not going to say it's a UFO or whatever like that. Again, I've just not got a clue what it is, but it's definitely strange.
Now, Jane, your girlfriend, you're about to give birth next week, isn't it? It's going to come out normal colour. Is it going to be green or anything?
Well,
okay,
that's debatable.
Well, hopefully it comes out normal.
And I'm not being rude in asking this because if you're an alien from goodness knows where, you could have picked anywhere on the planet. You know? I mean, I suppose if I was going to hover above somewhere for a few days or once a week, you know, for a year, I'd go to the Bahamas or something, you know?
Yes.
Why do you think they picked Falkirk?
I don't really know. I just never really got a clue, really. Yeah, they look at me watching a football team, the local football team anyway, so I've not really got a clue why it's this area, no.
Well, maybe there's lots more intelligent life forms out there.
Yeah, could be something out there, but...
aliens,
Aye.
And just promise us that this is not a hoax, that you haven't stunted this up in a garden shed or something.
It's definitely not a hoax. Again, it's what I said, every people who's seen it, that just was the vibe it. Now, Ron Halliday, he's seen hundreds of them, and even he's baffled with it.
Well, we have him on the sofa now, so we'll hear what he's got to say. So, for the time being, from Falkirk, may the force be with you.
Absolutely, and let's get the expert's opinion. Ron Halliday, who Barry referred to there, from Stirling University, an expert in UFO sightings. How excited are you by the footage that Barry and Jane shot?
Well, I've been excited and intrigued because, you know, I think Barry and Jane are witnesses of integrity, and this has been filmed, you know, in a clear sky I think it shows a good, clear image, so I think it's certainly one of the best UFO footage that I've seen.
Well, why? What stands out for you? I mean, that just looks like a light or reflection to me. It could be in the lens of the camera, who knows?
Well, it's certainly not a reflection, and it's certainly not within the lens of the camera. I mean, they saw the object before they actually videoed it. So they certainly saw the object first of all, and they took the footage after they'd been watching it for a while. So there was definitely an object seen in the sky, and I think the fact that the object appears to hover and then actually changes on its side, seems to change colour, and then disappears, you know, very, very quickly at the end of that video footage. I think, you know, there are a number of factors that are there which show that it's a very interesting piece of footage.
Now, people have also phoned in to us from Bolton and from Castleford in West Yorkshire with sightings of what they say was the same object last Wednesday morning. Is that common, or does that raise your hopes?
Well, I mean, it raises our hopes, obviously, because, I mean, we're as keen as anybody to try and see if we can find any explanation. I mean, we're not looking for an object that we can't explain, but, you know, if we find at the end of the day that there's no obvious explanation for it, then obviously, from our point of view, is exciting. So the more people that say they've seen something or can provide a description, then the better as far as we're concerned.
So what happens next to a report like that and visual evidence like that? Where does it go to next? Who examines it? Is there any official report put down? Or?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I mean, there's certainly been an official report made. I mean, we will analyse the video more or less frame by frame to see if we can determine, you know, what the object actually is. Because, you know, once you actually look at these very closely, then you can often find that the object takes on a bit of a different shape than appears when you run it at normal speed.
We can all speculate as to what we see in these clips, and here's some which we've featured on the programme over the past few years. This first one was taken in Norfolk, I think in 1993. Now, that's similar in a way, is it not, to the Falkirk sighting?
Well, I mean, you know, I mean, quite a few of these objects, there are a bit of similarity in them. I mean, obviously...
This is from Mexico, this particular one, not?
Yeah, I mean, obviously...
And that's in Canada.
Yeah, I mean...
Which to me looks like a big helicopter landing on the ground there, but...
I mean, I take the point that, you know, quite a bit of video footage that has been taken does turn out to be of a straightforward, natural, everyday object. And, I mean, sometimes there are problems with the camera.
Yeah.
So, I mean, accept that. But in this particular case, I think we've got a different situation.
Is it true that there is an unusual amount of UFO activity in the area that Martin is reporting from this morning?
Well, there have been, over the last few years, there have been several hundred sightings. And I think, as was mentioned, you know, there are reports coming in at a pretty regular rate. I mean, I've interviewed a large number of witnesses over the last few years. I mean, there's no particular explanation why there's so many in that area, but there have been an unusually large number of sightings. And in fact, people come from all over the place to the area to see them.
Well, Ron Halliday, thank you very much indeed for your opinions. Thank you also to Mrs. McMillan and Mr. Reid from Falkirk, who phoned in as well to confirm or endorse Barry and Jane's sighting in Falkirk last Wednesday. But back now to the Bonnybridge Triangle and Martin Frizzell. Perhaps for your final thoughts, Martin.
Yeah, I think we've thought long and hard about this, and I think the best explanation for what that was, Eamon, was that last Sunday, after that spontaneous combustion of a certain team at St James's Park, Newcastle, that was the remnants of it just going somewhere, anywhere, but back to Newcastle.
Well, as they say, Martin, the truth is out there, and I think come next May, the truth will be proven. I think that will be the case. Who will be top of the Premiership? But I think we're getting some interference and losing you somewhere. It's extraterrestrial interference. We must leave it there. Thank you very much, Martin Frizzell there, live from Falkirk.
This week on Quest, we needed a volunteer to go and stand in the pouring rain and the howling wind in the middle of a moor in Yorkshire and talk to some people who believe in flying saucers. So we volunteered Ken Hollingshead, and here he is, wet, windblown and willing as ever.
Well, here we are on a very windswept afternoon on Ilkley Moor, and we've come actually to talk to people about the strange happenings here. Philip, you've actually written a book called Without Consent, which is all about UFO abductions. Would you like to tell us about what you've experienced?
Well, there's one famous abduction case that took place here on Ilkley Moor, just about a mile from where we are. But the whole moors themselves are quite literally haunted by UFO sightings. There have been some very recent sightings, and we've had them historically down the years as well. There are some people that believe these sightings are of alien spaceships, while others believe that there's a more natural earthbound phenomenon, that the lights are created by the Earth itself. They're termed Earth lights, so it's a much more down-to-earth theory, if you like, but we honestly don't know what these sightings are.
Nigel, can I bring you in? You're a local historian, and in fact, perhaps you can tell us why these are called the Hanging Rocks.
Yeah, the Hanging Stones Rocks Quarry, that's actually a quarry, has a lot of myth and legend associated with it, and the name derives from the actual placing of witches up here from the local township in the 1600s. Also, there's been mysterious balls of light actually being focused and actually seen in this area. One very recent one, just to the south of here, has only been investigated last week.
So, in fact, there's an enormous amount of sort of historical background as well as...
Very much so.
Yeah.
In the Victorian era, it was called the Haunted Moor.
Oh, not surprised. Turning now to Alan, you've actually experienced things on this moor. You're an eyewitness to things.
Oh, yes.
Would you like to tell us about that?
Well, we got one on camcorder on June the 6th, and it's just like an immense light bulb in the sky. They just come, and then they just go. A matter of a flick of a switch, and they're off, they're away. It's amazing.
And that's your own experience?
Yes, it is.
Peter, now you've been investigating strange things on these moors for almost 27 years. I mean, what's your explanation of them?
Well, the research I've done and investigations into the matter is that I'm beyond a shadow of a doubt that there's intelligent life elsewhere. It's totally impossible for the Earth just to be one planet on its own. We've got billions of stars out there, and I believe we've been visited by intelligent life.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind.
You've even had some communication with them, haven't you? Some sort of form of sort of communication.
Yeah, we've signalled them with strobe lights, what we've rigged up, car headlights, and we've had a response to intelligent signal back.
Yeah. So you think that is something that's coming from another form of life?
Well, in my opinion, yes, indeed.
Tracy, you've actually experienced something fairly close to this area, and you've got it on camcorder as well. Can you tell us what it was?
That's right. What we actually caught was a very bright object that came from the northwest of where we live, which is in Mansfield. And the object became motionless in between Mansfield and Plesley, and then just started to dissipate in light. And as it did so, 2 helicopters converged on this light, and it just totally vanished.
It's the actual things that it's doing. It's disappearing between frames of video, which means that it's moving very, very fast. It's defying our physical laws. This is what makes it interesting. There's no explanation we can come up with at this time.
Well, Ken and his crew stayed up there half the night, and they saw not a sausage. But maybe you've done better. If you have a story to tell about the Ilkley Moor phenomena or about any other unearthly happenings in the skies above, call us now on 071 757 7000. Your friends may say you're balmy, but we will listen, we promise.
Hello again. Fox Mulder and Dana Scully's fictional investigations of the FBI's Filed of the Unexplained have made The X-Files a smash hit TV series. And as the millennium rapidly approaches, it would appear that the public has an insatiable appetite for all things weird and paranormal. But are such mysteries any more than spooky entertainment? Well, here in Britain, it turns out that there really is a government department investigating the unexplained. Nick Pope was the civil servant in charge of the Ministry of Defence's top-secret UFO desk, the man responsible, in a word, for investigating real X-Files. His brief was to evaluate the evidence of extraterrestrial activity in British skies, and having started his assignment in 1991 as a typical Whitehall skeptic, he says he left his post in 1994 convinced the truth really is out there. But there are those, including my second guest, the psychologist Dr. Chris French, who reckon that he's gone a bit native. Dr. French teaches a course on all aspects of the unexplained at London's Goldsmith College. Welcome to you both. Mr. Pope, what was it that converted you to think there really was something going on with UFOs?
Well, I think it is important to say that 9 out of 10 of these things do have conventional explanations, and after I did a rigorous investigation, that's what I found. But there is this hard core that totally defies conventional explanation, and the cases that impress me are where, for example, you have civil and military pilots seeing things, and where you have visual sightings backed up, for example, by radar evidence. It's those sorts of cases that I'm interested in.
So what do you actually think? I mean, what do you think is the most reasonable explanation? I appreciate you don't have evidence. The little green men are steering flying saucers. Is that what it amounts to?
Well, it amounts to where you have, as I believe we do, evidence that structured craft are penetrating our sophisticated air defences, and where those craft clearly display a technology which goes way beyond the cutting edge of even our own, I think the most logical conclusion is that those craft are not ours. They are extraterrestrial.
And you believe there are aliens in space?
That's right, yes, and scientists are coming around to that point of view as well now. It's interesting to see, you know, scientists tabling papers on faster-than-light travel and, you know, discovering planetary systems around other stars.
Dr. French, can you explain away all this?
No, I can't explain away all of it. I mean, I'd agree with Nick that 90 to 95% have fairly easy to assess mundane explanations. Where we disagree is on that 5%. Now, whereas Nick would say this is therefore proof of some extraterrestrial visitations, I'd say that it's likely that in certain cases we're just not going to have sufficient evidence to come to a decision. But if we did have that evidence, we may well find that the more mundane explanations would still apply. It may well have been some kind of natural phenomenon. Hoaxes can often be lead to people making these claims, and so on. So unless we have some hard physical proof, and so far that's just missing, then you know, I will actually remain fairly sceptical.
I mean, it does seem to me that if there really was something going on out there, surely by now we would have some absolute bang-to-rights, indisputable evidence of something which people can't explain, and I'm certainly unaware of that.
Well, for example, in 1990 over Belgium, thousands of people saw a UFO on one particular night. The Belgian Air Force picked it up on their ground-based radar. They scrambled 2 F-16 fighters, which also picked it up on their radar systems. It ran rings around the Belgian Air Force, whose corporate view at the end of the day was that there was a structured craft there. It was real, but the F-16 fighter, which is a pretty good one, was just totally unable to catch it. Its technology was way beyond the F-16s.
Now, your job at the Ministry of Defence, were you just concerned with UFOs, or did you take in crop circles, beasts of Bodmin and all the rest of it?
Absolutely. I've been called by some people the real Fox Mulder, and I did find that my job, because of doing the UFOs, people did report to me anything from animal mutilations, crop circles, even the odd ghost report came my way.
And which of those do you give any credibility to? I mean, flying objects you do, but what about the other things, crop circles?
Well, crop circles, I think many of them are hoaxed, but I have seen one or two which are so intricate and symmetrical that to me they seem as if they could be caused in a very unconventional way. Animal mutilations as well. Some of them undoubtedly caused simply by dog attacks and things like that. But some evidence that cuts are being caused, for example, with very high heat source, as if by a laser.
This is all part of alien abduction, then? I mean, do you actually, have you ever met someone who you believed who had been taken up into a spacecraft, you know, with those men with the little sort of ball-bearing heads and the
this is the real difficult area in UFO research. Many of those reports have psychological explanations, I'm sure, but I believe there's a hard core of real physical experience there as well.
Well, again, I mean, one of the things about Nick's book is that he actually covers not only UFOs, but crop circles and cattle mutilations and so on. I mean, and often the arguments just don't stand up. I mean, Nick's just said there that if a particular crop circle is so intricate, then that implies it couldn't possibly have been made by people. I mean, we've had cases where self-proclaimed experts who say that they could never be fooled have actually been fooled in very public ways. I mean, we had Pat Delgado, Terry's Meaden, to name but two. So, I mean, I know people who make these hoax circles, and they're convinced.
But what are, I mean, it does admittedly always seem to happen in the Great Plains of America that sort of mom and pop type people are taken up into these spacecrafts. But, I mean, psychologically, why should they make it up?
Well, again, I mean, I think that Nick himself has said, I mean, reading Nick's book, he's not convinced by the evidence for abductions. He just stops short of that. Now, there's lots of evidence, for example, that hypnotic regression is used in these cases. People initially report that they don't know what happened between, say, on a particular car journey. And they go along to a hypnotherapist who happens to be an expert in UFO abduction cases. They'll be hypnotised, apparently regress back, and apparently relive this abduction. Now, according to the general public believe that hypnosis is a very reliable tool for actually uncovering what happened. In actual fact, it's anything but. It's incredibly unreliable.
Well, that's been a problem with sex abuse now.
Exactly. I mean, the whole false memory syndrome debate, I mean, satanic ritual abuse, past life regression, all these cases share a common core, and the use of hypnotic regression is just so unreliable.
I mean, the other problem with it is, to me, Nick Pope, is it does seem to me that, you know, if there is these great extraterrestrial powers to devote their energies to helping Uri Geller bend spoons or abducting ignoramuses from the Great Plains, you know, is a waste of time. I mean, why on earth would they do it?
We simply don't know what's going on. It's very dangerous to draw any major assumptions, but I think we have to focus on the aspects of the phenomenon which seem to pose some sort of threat. And of course, the defence angle is the angle that I always come back to. For example, we've had some near collisions between civil aircraft and UFOs. There was one Manchester Airport, 6th of January last year, and the Civil Aviation Authority, who have a number of cases like this on their files, simply said unexplained.
Okay, I have to ask you finally, you've been promoted, have you been clammed up, or does the work go on in the Ministry of Defence?
The investigation and research goes on.
There you have it. Thank you very much indeed. Nick Pope and Dr. Chris French. Well, I'm afraid